we're recording. This is Indecisive Cinema, episode 23. I'm Jeremy Knight, and I'm here with my co-host
Carlos Hernandez.
And we're going to talk about a bunch of movies today. We have a fair amount of movies to review, and then we're going to go over the Oscars.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try and... I've got like 10 movies on my list.
Yeah.
Some of which are older films that I've finally seen now, and I want to just kind of briefly mention. But most of them are new releases, so we'll get into that, and then we'll kind of ramble about the Oscars for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. We're also, by the way, we're on all the platforms now for the first time ever. We're on Spotify, iTunes. We're working on iHeartRadio. There's a few of the kind of miscellaneous ones that we're trying to figure out, but we'll be on all those platforms here soon because we're finally hosting the podcast on an actual hosting site.
That's cool.
Anyway, hopefully it'll be a little easier for people to listen to the show. And now that we've moved to the kind of the audio only podcast, I think we're kind of more back to our original format, and I think it's better for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's so broader range, more people can tune in. That's cool.
And it's just easier for me to host and publish because ultimately those video of ones we did were just like, I mean, it'd take almost 2 hours to cut the show, and then just to do the multicam of it, then exporting and uploading and all this stuff is just, and then to get it on platforms like iTunes, you have challenges with music and copyright stuff, and also, when you're shooting video, just you're recording video, the audio quality is different if you're using like video mics, and so it just, I don't know, it just wasn't as audio friendly as I preferred, and so I think this format works better. But yeah, so we're on everything. Go and review us wherever you listen. Hopefully give us notes about the show, let us know what you like, what you'd like to hear, etc. Because ultimately we're working through kind of our format every week.
Yeah, I know, right? Ever changing.
Yeah, ultimately we're just trying to figure out, the whole point is just to give us an outlet to talk about movies is really what this is. So we're doing it more for us than for you, but ultimately...
there it goes.
We've got time,
How dare you say that? I'm offended. I'm not going to listen to the show now.
Right. But so ultimately, it's just a movie show. We're not trying to be. We don't want to have like a specific like agenda every time because knowing us, we'll never abide by it anyway. So ultimately, So I guess we'll get into the movies. The first one I saw, and we haven't done a show in 3 weeks almost. Because I was sick, really sick the last time we tried to record, and despite really wanting to record, I think I got like an hour of sleep beforehand and was just feeling miserable. So I've got a fair amount of movies to go through that some that came out a few weeks ago. But the first one is the Kid Who Would Be King, which is Joe Cornish, from Joe Cornish, the director of Attack the Block, which I really like.
Great movie.
And British, I think he's a British filmmaker. I know and this is essentially it's the story. It's almost a sequel to Sword in the Stone. The animated version from
Disney.
Yeah, from forever ago, which is a kind of not a favorite of mine, but a movie that I really adored as a kid. And this definitely looked like a kid's movie, and it is now that I've seen it. And I wasn't too crazy about the trailer, but went in kind of knowing that Joe Cornish directed it, and was just hoping to kind of see something else from him because he hasn't made a movie in...
Since when?
Attack the Block, right? 2011. So, so it's essentially the tale of this young boy who is being bullied at school, and I believe, and I haven't seen this movie in 3 weeks, but I believe that his father has passed away, and so there's some kind of trouble at home, and he is running away from the bullies at school and comes across a sword in the stone in this construction site. And he goes to, I think he's trying to fend the bullies off, I believe. Again, saw this a while ago, and he actually ends up pulling the sword out of the stone, and in doing so, kind of ignites this this battle between the bad guys down below and the people on Earth, and essentially opens up this big kind of conflict that by doing so, because he's now
it's Morgan Le Fay, you know that, right?
What was that?
Morgan Le Fay is the one that comes from below. Don't you know the Arthur legend, bro?
I don't know. I do not at all.
But yeah, I know. And how's Patrick Stewart?
It's actually something I enjoyed about the movie, though, is the lore behind it. It felt like and this movie is definitely directed with love and care. Like,
this is why I love Jeremy. He loves movies, and I'm like, wait, he doesn't know the Arthur legend yet?
No,
but yes, Morgan Le Fay is the one that comes from below. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, this was one of those trips to Draft House where it was 10:45 at night, and I was like kind of like Mary Poppins. I was like, I just want to go eat their popcorn, and ultimately, the kids group together and embark on this adventure to try and find his true father, as well as kind of the story behind why he's become the person that can pull this sword out of the stone. So it's a fun kind of kids film. It's I think even though it's made with care and love and everybody's good in it, and the effects are pretty good, and it's I feel like if I watched this movie when I was like 8 years old, it would be like a complete classic.
Yeah,
right?
JC wants to see it. Yeah.
But as an adult, I don't know that, even though it definitely felt like a kid's movie when I was watching it. Was my only complaint, but it's also not really a fault to the movie itself. And so I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, because it's,
so
if you
I
have
just got
kids,
one question.
I would absolutely
I mean, I definitely want to see with JC. But so looking at it real quick, it seems like it's a step down, because Attack the Block was more adult or older kid oriented.
That's more like a Spielberg film.
Yeah, whereas this one seems like, then you're saying it's more of a step down, or is it in the same?
It's definitely not it's rated PG, I think. Yeah, and it's definitely like tame and safe for kids.
Rated R. Okay.
Which is like there's not a whole lot in a movie like that. There's not as many consequences. Like, none of the kids are gonna die.
Okay. Whereas in Attack the Block, people do. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I got you.
So it doesn't have the same stakes, but it doesn't need to. Again, the story doesn't service that. And again, everybody's trying really hard. And I think this is better than like Percy Jackson or some of those kind of films for sure. And like I said, I think like kids nowadays, like this would be a movie that would be one of those things that would be like a movie I'd love as a kid. So
I got you.
it's good for that reason, but for me personally, I don't know. It's hard to recommend to adults.
Adults, yeah.
Unless you have kids. So anyway, that's me, the kid who would be king. Number 2 on this list, which I don't know if have you seen this yet?
Yes, I have seen this movie. Oh my god.
Okay, good. So Abducted in Plain Sight, which is a Netflix documentary.
Oh my god.
Telling the kind of the true story about this young girl. I think I forgot 12. How old, but 12 years old. Well, at the first time.
In the beginning of the story, I guess you could say.
Essentially gets abducted by the same person more than once.
3 times.
And due to many different reasons that we'll get into, but
yes,
just,
I hope so.
Mainly just the complete foolishness of the parents and everyone involved.
Did you sit there in utter disbelief when you heard their story? My mouth was agape.
So for me, it's not even I think there's a really compelling, terrifying story at the heart of this, right?
Agreed.
And there's nothing funny about this story whatsoever, right? There's nothing even like
the story. Yeah, I mean,
of course.
I mean, I'm laughing on it because I'm a parent and I'm not that freaking stupid. If anything, I watched it with my 14-year-old daughter, and she was like, "Oh my god, you would never let that happen." I said, "No parent should ever let any of this happen," but it happened.
And you have to take into account to some degree that it wasn't in the early 70s, which
correct.
Was a different world.
You're
from
right.
a
You're 100% correct. Yes.
Obviously, the internet didn't exist, and there's for a lot of reasons, but the accessibility of children, even I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was higher back then. People probably got away with this stuff more often, but but at the same time, parents wouldn't hear as much about that.
Agreed.
Back then, at least, and I don't think parents were as afraid back then. Of, kids would just let kids ride on their bikes.
Yeah, that's how it was.
I was watching.
I grew up in the 70s,
later,
so I know.
I was watching True Detective, which is also about child abduction. Fantastic season. Season 3 is just outstanding in every way. I'm super excited about it, and it was one of the best seasons of TV I've seen in a long time. But again, so like that was set in I think early 80s or 80 itself, and again, it's I don't think kids were and that's even in the 80s, kids would just ride on their bikes and go wherever they wanted to, and so ultimately this it's hard to watch a film that's set in that time period now and using kind of our modern lenses. But at the same time, I can't. I mean, I can't defend these parents.
I cannot. No, not at all.
Just complete and utter foolishness. So there's a few things happening with this documentary, which is, obviously I think it's easy to be angered and frustrated by what happens, but no doubt. I mean, there's a frustration that comes with that in itself. But then there's this whole other level of frustration for me, which is that this documentary is one of the most poorly made documentaries I've ever seen in my life. And it's in such weird ways, like the way it's told, and even like the way the questions are so as a document, I mean, I shoot a little bit of documentary film and mostly corporate stuff, but still it's the same concept. You sit somebody down and you ask them questions to prompt responses, and some of the statements that these people make, and it's not even. So, like, obviously there's these weird revelations that we'll get to, but ultimately it's more just like in the weird details where they're describing these horrible things that happen. The tone comes across as like everybody seems like that this wasn't a big deal. Like, it's so weird.
Agreed.
And I can't describe the feeling that you get when you watch this.
That's what
especially if you watch a lot of documentaries, because again, obviously it's easy to look at it and go, oh my gosh, the story is so angering. But there's something just horrible about the way this is like directed and edited, and like even the music is off. Like it just the traditional story beats that you get in a documentary film, and like the accented musical cues that come with those. Like even if you watch like shitty like documentaries on TV and stuff like that, they're better made than this was. And so that was baffling to me. On top of the story, like there was a point where my brother was the one that made me watch this. It was like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was like, you've got to stop what you're doing and watch this. He's like, because I don't think this is real. Like he was like not entirely sure. And there's a moment about 20 minutes in where he was at when he said this and like stopped what he was doing.
I know exactly why.
Oh yes, which has become a meme.
Yes, I've seen it.
And that's fascinating. And there's things that happen in this documentary that are really interesting, but I still feel like the filmmakers themselves just don't have a focus, and they don't know what to do with this material, and that in itself is also infuriating. So I felt like I was frustrated and just wanting to pull my hair out for so many different reasons during this movie. This is, I mean, this might be one of the worst documentaries I've ever sat all the way through, other than some of those kind of shitty TV documentaries. But I mean, it's just.
I agree, and I just think I'm glad that the story came out. And again, I don't mean to revel in what happened, but. Because I mean, stories like this happen all the time, but just this particular story, and again, because like you said, because of the parents controlling or what they did led to, that's what drives me crazy. And it's like I said, as a parent, I just sat there and I kept. It was like, again, I don't know if Rhonda heard me, but it was like 11 o'clock at night, 12 with me and Glowsword, and I was just like. Reacting the same way almost with Hereditary, only because you're like, with Hereditary, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. That's how I felt. I was like, this is not being, like your brother, I was like, this is not being said. What he's saying is not happening.
Well, but even like the line, there's a line from the brother of the abductor.
Yes!
Who is just like, oh, then that guy is like almost comedy relief.
Yes, exactly. It's like they put him there to make us laugh because of his reactions.
Well, but it's like the way he talks about his brother.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I mean, yeah, he was a pedophile. You're like, wait, what? Like, so you're saying he was a pedophile? Like, at what point in your life were you aware of that? And why didn't you do anything to prevent everything that happened?
And my 14-year-old said the same thing. She goes, if you knew that, why didn't you do anything? And that's why I was like, this is not happening. None of this is real.
And then like and I don't know for sure, because again, this movie is so poorly made that the timeline of events is so infuriating.
Because it jumps back and forth.
So they talk about the fact that the abductor went to prison at some point for this.
Yeah.
And then was released like within a month, and not related to the case.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's like, was that before all this happened? If so, like how on earth did nobody know that he was a pedophile?
And then they said that the town supported him and were angry at the parents for putting him in jail.
That's just
it don't make sense. But
so everyone involved in this is so frustrating, and it's so poorly made and just constructed. I don't know. I was so frustrated, and I think if this were made by better filmmakers, look at, there's been 3 or 4 great documentaries in the past year, like the Mr. Rogers documentary and Three Identical Strangers and American Animals, like all these great documentary filmmakers are making amazing stuff, and then we get this, which is just so poorly put together, and so I think the subject matter itself, there's a story here for sure. But I'm baffled by the just ineptitude on all levels of this film, and I'm frustrated. Like, apparently now they're gonna get a movie because it's like people are angered by it for the wrong reasons in my opinion.
Agreed.
And so I'm like reading reviews, and it's getting good reviews, and I'm like, okay, but that's that. Like, I can't give the movie that much credit because the way that it tells the story is just it doesn't get it almost like it. I don't know. It's so frustrating. But anyway, that's Abducted in Plain Sight. Fuck that movie. But it's not as bad as some of the other ones that I have on my list to talk about today.
I'm looking forward. I see there's a big list.
Jesus Christ.
What's next?
I've got 3 more that I'm really frustrated by. Whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to briefly talk about Suspiria, the 2018 version. Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
Okay, so I won't get into too much detail. Well, in fact, if you haven't seen it, I almost don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, let me get. Is it David Lynchian or is it European? Is it because?
So it's definitely not like the original film.
So it's not direct. It's not European. Okay. Argento.
Yeah, it's. I would say. I mean, Lynchian is. I don't. I mean, it feels like a '70s movie.
Yeah,
but
that's
it doesn't
what I
feel
like
like an Argento. It doesn't feel like
because the trailer is very well done.
Oh, I mean, and it's a very
that's
well
why
done movie.
It brought, and even though the blurb says Lynchian masterpiece, and I was like, it does have this Lynchian feel, but it also does feel like the original, like the '70s, which that's why I was.
I would almost say like more like an early Cronenberg film more than Lynch.
Interesting.
But I don't know, because I'm trying to think like.
But can you at least say if you
like Lynch? When you talk about Lynch, especially when it comes to horror, you're talking about a couple films, but not really his entire filmography. I mean, you've got Eraserhead and you have Blue Velvet. Well, okay, more than a couple because you've got Lost Highway and you
Lost
have.
Highway is also horrific.
So you have which I think is probably one of his most terrifying films.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
so I don't know so Lynch films always feel like they're directed in a way that like nothing I've ever seen before, and they always feel off to me, for good or for bad. And this, I mean, while there are elements of like just the way it's shot and stuff like that are clearly, I mean, any horror film, modern horror film that comes out, obviously, most of them pay tribute to everything that came before, obviously. So there's elements of all this in there, but I think it's like it almost reminds me more of something like The Brood or like an early set, but that's a different movie in a lot of ways.
I actually like it. It's an underrated.
I love The Brood, but just the tension that built in there's almost a coziness to that film. It not in a good way, almost.
Wait, The Brood or
The Brood, which is it's like set in winter up in the north, and it like this has kind of a very it's in the kind of location of it, which is. I guess we're getting into the movie. We can go into a further discussion with it once you see it, but it's set right on the edge of the Berlin Wall, which plays a big role in it. So it's not set where the original film was set. And it's almost and one of the main complaints I would say I'd have of it, and a lot of other people have had, is that the themes of the film are a little too on the nose. But there's some really interesting stuff here. Tom York from Radiohead did the score, which I love. I was actually listening. I love Radiohead. And, it's very unique, and I think it adds an interesting tone to the whole film. All the performances by Tilda Swinton and from 50 Shades. What's her name? Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah. She's just outstanding in this. So everybody's really good, and it looks great. I think it's shot on film. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like it's shot on film.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it again, that's something that contributes to that the kind of that 70s feel that it has to it. And I think it's very interesting, and I definitely want to talk about it more in detail. I don't want to go further into it.
I'll definitely check it out then before the next time we both see it. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the Suspiria 2018 movie. Definitely worth seeing. I think it's really interesting.
Okay, good.
But we'll get into more detail on a further future podcast. So,
the next
Velvet Buzzsaw, which is the follow-up film from Nightcrawler, director Dan Gilroy.
Gilroy, yeah.
And which is, I mean, I love Nightcrawler.
Yeah, no, you did.
I don't know if I'd call myself I don't. Let me see what else.
I liked it too. I
didn't
love it, but I liked it a lot. And Jake Gyllenhaal was amazing in it.
Have you seen You're talking about Buzzsaw?
No,
or
both. Nightcrawler.
Have you seen Buzzsaw?
I've seen Buzzsaw.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so we can talk about it.
Which is essentially the story about an art critic. Because who would you call the main character in this?
It's funny because there is none.
There isn't really.
The art is the main character.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's interesting because you're right. Jake Gyllenhaal he's the big name in it, but he's a supporting character per se, and he does get most of the screen time. But the young lady who gets the artwork is basically you see that as she's also a supporting player, but a major player. And then you have what's her name? Renee Russo, who's art, but she's really supporting character until the end. So you're right. There's no main character. It's just like an ensemble, almost like an Altman film.
And that's what I think works about the movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Everybody's just having a lot of fun. There's really interesting. The script is really good. What's weird about this film is it's almost like. It's really almost like a B movie premise directed by like a Hollywood director.
Hollywood director. I agree with it. I love it.
And that's what's so weird about it is it's like tonally it's this really stupid premise about art murdering people, which I guess we'll get more into the plot of it, which is that though. It's
that is
a bunch of
plot.
art critics and all these people that are profiting off of of modern art.
Yeah.
And one of them, the assistant of one of the kind of this main, she's not even a critic. She's more of a distributor, I think. I don't know
Which one, Renee Russo?
Yes.
Yeah, she's the gallery owner.
Okay.
The young girl is like her assistant, who then becomes a bigwig because she brings this art in. And Jake Gyllenhaal plays the art. He's the only art critic in there, actually.
And the art that the assistant played by Zawe Ashton.
Yeah, I've seen it, and then I saw her in something afterwards. She's not bad. Yeah, I like her.
Everybody's really good in it.
Yeah.
But she finds in the apartment upstairs there's a man that passes away. She actually sees him die, I think. And he of a heart attack or something normal.
Does in the hallway.
And she goes into his apartment and finds a bunch of really obscure artwork. That really well done too.
The art itself was really creepy.
Reminds me a lot of Devil's Candy.
Oh yeah.
Just like the artwork, the really dark artwork of that. And she finds like just a bunch of old artwork in this man's apartment, and he was, I think, throwing it away or wanted it.
He was trying to destroy it. Yeah, he wanted it all destroyed.
Trying to destroy the artwork for unknown reasons, and essentially this assistant starts releasing his work with the help of the gallery owner, played by Renee Russo. And it becomes a huge hit, and and everybody's calling it a masterpiece and stuff like that, and then. People start dying. People involved in the distribution of this art start dying. And so that's the premise. It's kind of a silly premise, but again, like I said, it's directed by somebody who really knows what they're doing and can handle not only the script that, kind of a really tight, fast-paced script, but also just can, he is the glue that keeps this thing together, I think. Yeah. And obviously everybody's really entertaining in it, but ultimately, it's just a slick B movie.
Agreed. It reminds me of in the late '70s when after Carpenter's Halloween came out, Hollywood wanted to start making horror movies, and they got these big actors and big directors to make these horror films that were just like horrible films because it was like you have these big talented directors who didn't know what the hell they were doing with the horror craze, and that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of like Charlton Heston in The Awakening. And Tony Curtis was in, oh my God, some movie about an Indian that rips out of a girl's back. It's ridiculous, but that's what it reminded me of. It was like you said, you had all this talent in not such a big film. It was just like a little film about, what was that movie? Rod Serling's Night Gallery. Basically, this is what it was. Paintings that were haunting this guy who was trying to steal art, got stuck in the gallery at night, and he gets sucked into the paintings. It was similar to that premise, but it's just like this, like you said, it's a B movie premise. Just in this case, horror, and you got these big actors, and Jake Gyllenhaal is really good in it. He does. I agree with you. He holds everything together, and he's, I don't want to get into spoilers, but I really did like it. I enjoyed Velvet Buzzsaw.
There's some good kills, and ultimately, I think this is
Tony Collette's is cool.
I don't know if I had seen this in the theater. I think. Like this movie almost works well for Netflix. I feel like, and I think it's one of their better titles overall. It's not some spectacular film. Like it's not going to make it on any list for me. But it is one of the better movies I've seen all year, I suppose. And it's definitely worth seeing of the stuff on Netflix. So, and again, I think it plays well for that platform. So I'm glad that it exists, and I'm glad that Dan Gilroy is getting more work. So yeah, that's Velvet Buzzsaw. The next one on our list is Vice, which was nominated for Best Picture, which we'll get to, which is part of the reason I saw it, not because I was uninterested in it, but because I've seen The Big Short from, and he did Anchorman. And,
Adam McKay.
Adam McKay, who is also the glue that holds this thing together. This is a really good film overall, but it essentially tells a story of Dick Cheney and his kind of rise to power, and just everything it's really kind of it's all about his life and what happens, and the movie definitely paints him. It takes a side in terms of kind of politically where it stands on kind of what he did and how how it feels about him, which some people might not like, some people may. It doesn't matter.
I will not like that.
Ultimately, I mean, it's one of those like big Hollywood films. And we'll talk about. I'm going totally blank. I have the same thought on another movie that's on my list, but I have IMDb pulled up right now. But it's kind of a classically made, ensemble film about kind of a true figure. And it's what's interesting about it is, despite the fact that it definitely paints him out to be the villain in this film, it definitely still kind of cares about the movie cares about him and about his life and about the people that surround him, and so he feels like a fleshed out character, and he's definitely really more interesting than I thought, especially from
Batman won the best actor in the Golden Globes for it, so Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, and he's really good. I mean, there was a point in the movie about probably midway through the second act where I went, "Oh fuck, it's Christian Bale!" Like I totally forgot. And that's, I mean, a huge testament for.
I said Batman, you're looking at me like
he's really fantastic in it. So again, everybody's really. Amy Adams is really great in it. Everybody in this is really good, and it's.
Sam Rockwell's George Bush looks amazing.
And we'll get to the Oscar stuff later. He's very good in it, but he's in it for about 10 full minutes, which is why I don't understand why he was nominated for that, even though he is good. It's one of those movies, because I think Steve Carell's has a better, more interesting role, but whatever. They don't respect. I don't have a lot to say about it. I feel
bad about Steve Carell. They don't respect him. I mean, he's done a lot of good work in film.
For sure.
And because I think after Welcome to Marwin, I think that just knocked him out.
Man.
And so now he's like,
I haven't seen it.
He was so good in Vice, and people were like, he did Welcome to Marwin, so let's not focus on it.
Fuck that guy.
And I just saw Foxcatcher too for the first time, which is really amazing.
Talking about another movie about kind of a true story, a true story that's kind of fictionally told, very similar. That's actually an interesting comparison to me. I like that a lot more for a lot of reasons, because I was actually thinking about this morning. I forgot who I was listening to that was talking about how frustrated everyone that was in that story was about the movie. Because it takes, and I think this relates to
on the Blu-ray, there's a little documentary, and it's interesting to hear what they feel about the people who were the movie was based on.
That's right, because there's a Netflix documentary about it now.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Team Foxcatcher. Is that what it's called?
It's called Team Foxcatcher.
Which I'd like to see. But Foxcatcher. What's interesting about that film though is that it's telling the true story, but it's definitely taking a stance that it's reading between the lines. Mm-hmm. And there's a weird kind of homosexual undertone to the film. I mean, it's...
No. And I thought that's what they were saying. And there is that one scene that shows it blatantly, but never actually says this happened.
Yes.
Or that was happening.
Which is the most interesting thing about that movie.
Because when he gets... Again, the spoiler of the movie came out like 5 years ago. But when he gets... oh my God.
The scene you're referring to is where he wakes him up in the middle of the night, coked out, I think, right?
No, because that's... No, it's a scene where...
He wakes up
Channing Tatum it's in the daytime, and he's sitting in his chair like a king, and Channing Tatum's like a dog on the floor, and he's playing with him, and he's almost naked except for his underwear, and he's like smacking him, touching his leg, and he's like giving him the cocaine like he's a dog, and he says, good boy. And that's the most blatant scene where obviously something sexual was going on outside of the waking up in the middle of the night, which obviously that could lead to it, but this was where Channing Tatum's touching him intimately. Sure. And that's when I was like, but they never said it.
But even like within some of the scenes with his brother, though, I know we're going on this weird.
Yeah, I know we went from Vice to because it does.
So it does relate though in the fact that like I think in the same way that Foxcatcher takes a stance that some might not agree with, Vice takes the same stance about Dick Cheney, not homosexuality, but at least that it definitely is like we're going to take this material and tell you what we think happened, and regardless of whether or not that's true or accurate, at least that's more interesting than just kind of blandly like telling the story of somebody's life.
Yeah,
because ultimately, if you're making a film about a true story, I want some kind of artistic spin to it. Like I don't need the story to be spun, because that's what's so great about Foxcatcher is that it's not straying from the story. It's just the undertone of the film that's really it adds this interesting depth to the film, at least, whether or not that's true in real life. Because ultimately, it's the filmmakers looking at going, this is the timeline of events. How did that happen, and what was going on underneath? And that's what makes that a really fantastic movie, in my opinion. Agreed. And in Vice, I don't think Vice quite accomplishes that, but it's definitely again really well kind of traditionally made, and everybody's really fantastic in it, and it's edited really tightly, and it's funny at times. I don't know if I like it as much as The Big Short, which I think is more funny and more entertaining. I like it. But I do like the fact that the movie, despite the fact that it's definitely an attack on Dick Cheney, I like the fact that it at least gives him a character. Like it's not just a completely one-sided. Like I think you root for the guy to some degree until he starts making decisions that are questionable. At least in terms of the way the movie's presenting them. So again, I think it's interesting, and I don't know that it should have been nominated for Best Picture, but I understand that more than a few others we'll get to. So anyway, that's Vice.
That's why it didn't win, but we'll get to that later.
It didn't win anything. I don't think.
I was surprised. I thought it was going to get the screenplay too. But anyway, next one.
Then I saw Dress to Kill for the first time ever.
One of Brian De Palma's masterpieces.
I'm going back through him and what's his face, Rosemary's Baby.
Roman Polanski.
Yeah, I'm going through their stuff, kind of the early, the early like 70s, 80s, kind of because those were like they're really controversial films for the time.
You know that my favorite film genre is 70s films, but yes,
I know that was late 60s, but
Rosemary Baby came out in 68, but it was the sheepheaded of all the 70s because remember that it led to. Oh, we'll get into that. But what do you think? Because I love Dress to Kill. It's Brian De Palma. I have 5 films, and that's
I think it's fantastic.
It's an amazing film.
Every Michael Caine's great, and everybody's really good.
Angie Dickinson,
and it's a kind of it's weird to see an effective thriller that's to some degree by the book, like aside from kind of the twist or at least the.
This movie came out 30, 40 years ago. We can say, but I want to say real quick. So because I was going to say it, but then I got caught up. That was my generation's Hitchcock because, as you know, that film is psycho mixed with other things. But so what did you like? Did you see that, or you just sort of
that makes a lot of sense. And when I'm talking about like the to some degree kind of a by the numbers thriller, Hitchcock was the one that invented that. So I think it definitely feels like a film that's really stripped to the bone and just kind of lean and but interesting and effective. I guess the main reason it's on this list to talk about it today is, do you think that movie would work now in our political climate?
That's a good. See, this is why I love Jeremy. That's a good question. I was talking about this last night with Rhonda. No. Because it's almost
so there's two questions
only because of the homosexuality / transgender / that would be negative.
Yeah, but ultimately negative. But is it negative towards that? Which is my question. I don't have an answer for this.
No. And again, I'm not a scholar in politics or trendy things. And again, I'm not trying to belittle it. I am pro transgender and pro all that stuff. What I'm saying though is it's stupid, this is aside, Ron is probably listening to everything we're saying. We watched something, and the top 10 love songs of all time, and Olivia Newton-John's Physical was number 1, which drove me crazy. Top 10 sexy songs of all time. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we watched the video, because she said she never saw the video before, and at the end, like all these buff guys, the fat guys turn into these buff guys, and Olivia Newton-John's gonna go and grab one to have sex with, and they all grab each other and walk away, and they're all gay. And she was laughing, and I was like, it's kind of negative almost in connotation, even though it's a joke.
Yeah.
And then I said, now you bring up Dress to Kill, and I'm like, regardless of what you want me to, or not what you want me to, you were asking my opinion.
Sure.
Someone's going to say, this is negative against transgenders, and this is against homosexuality, and this is against mental health issues. And that you're right. The movie would be not a flop. It would be controversial and disappear off the face of the earth after the first week or two.
Well, and ultimately, I think we aren't the ones to decide whether or not that is.
I agree. No, I agree with you. I agree.
But at the same time, so I guess the discussion I'm trying to get to is the film like you described that that it was a music video or song?
It's a music video,
which is making a joke about
homosexuals and stuff, and working out and
and so that's taking something and making fun of it to some degree. Yeah. I don't know that that was throughout this film.
I see your point.
I don't think because I think that the movie and even the way that the characters describe that they treat it as somewhat of a condition, but not even.
And I think that's what people will be upset.
Sure,
because like I said, I love this movie. Dress to Kill is one of my favorite horror.
But the fact that he's a trans person isn't the scary part of his character.
No, of course not. No, of course not. No, but I'm saying that's me and you because we're film historians and we love film. But someone watches film and say, "Oh no, that's not allowed." Because I've seen things that blow up, and I'm like,
I want to say that I think it's fair to I don't know.
Because if it doesn't get on the transgender thing, they're going to get on the mental health thing. And even though you're right, it's handled well. It's like the scene where his psychiatrist is talking about how Bobby and all this stuff. It kind of comes across like kind of condescending about it and kind of negative in tone. And they're all like, because Bobby, Michael Caine's character, is the bad guy.
But then there's the scene though where the two main the son of the
Keith Gordon, Angie Dickinson's son, who becomes the detective.
Which is kind of odd. The two of them are at a diner and they're talking about it.
Yeah,
but kind of normally, not in
and with Nancy, you're talking about Nancy Allen, right? The one, the main
describing star, kind of and just describing kind of what that is, but almost from an objective kind of
correct.
And I think. So it's weird because it's I think I can't make the call as to whether or not somebody can be offended by anything ultimately.
You're right. You're correct. I'm not either.
What's his name? And I've said this a ton lately. I feel like the freaking Ricky Gervais does a joke where he discusses because he does a trans joke in the Golden Globes, which got him in big trouble. And he does a whole bit about it, right? And he uses the example, which again, this is kind of a broad example, but I'm going to use it to make my point ultimately. That he says that a joke about Bill Cosby is inherently racist, right? It could, you could make a racist joke about Bill Cosby, but the joke, it's a joke about a subject isn't inherently that.
Yeah, agreed.
So a movie about a trans person murdering people isn't inherently transphobic. It's all about how the movie portrays it. And I think the film, and I'm not saying that somebody couldn't be offended by this. I think they totally could be. And I think I wouldn't even, I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. But I'm interested I'm really interested for people in this day and age to go back and watch that film and make that decision for themselves.
And it's funny you bring it up. Back then, transgender was not even a freaking subject. It wasn't even, nobody knew what the hell that was. So I guess that's why that movie got away with it then, and now it wouldn't. But I'll bring this up real quick. Cruising, William Friedkin's masterpiece. And I always bring up Cruising because that movie was so... It was it shut down because the homosexual community in New York went ballistic over it because of the portrayal that a homosexual is a murderer.
Gotcha.
So now, 3 years later or 2 years later,
from a standpoint of
you're talking about Dress to Kill, or a year later, and nothing happened with that because there was no such thing. Let me go back. Transgender wasn't a thing where people were understanding that. You know what I'm saying? So this was more... That was the horrific element, that this guy had two personalities, like Psycho, where we find out that Norman Bates is his mother. And I think that's why the movie went over better. It was a big hit. Dress to Kill was one of the major hits back then. I saw that in theaters. Don't judge my mom.
But that's an interesting point, though, that even just the portrayal of a trans person as a serial killer, though, could be problematic from a standpoint of not even if it's well intended. That's up for discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
But even if it's well intended from a standpoint of it's not the movie's not about the trans person. It's about the mental disorder. But the fact of the matter is, does that paint trans people in good light? No.
No, of course
because
not.
he's a murderer, right? So either
Correct.
way,
it's negative, and that's what I'm saying. And again, and guys, I mean, Jeremy's being very eloquent about this. I'm not. I'm born in the '70s, and I have no filter. But I'm saying don't come at me because of that. Because I have nothing against transgender. I'm just saying that yes, in this day and age, that movie would be destroyed within week one, or even before, because this movie's about a transgender who kills people.
Yeah, well,
and
now
they would shut it down.
You couldn't make this film though now because of the political
the political climate. Yeah,
you know.
But it's a great film, and it's one of my favorite Brian De Palma films. You know, Blowout is my first, but that would be my second actually.
The Blowout, so I own that, but I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God! So you have the Criterion version?
Yeah, I have the Criterion.
It's an amazing film. I love Blowout. We'll talk about that one day.
Yeah. So anyway, I also have Dress to Kill on Criterion. Great transfer.
Yeah,
I mean, they just do a
the
fantastic job. Same thing with Rosemary's Baby. That movie looks.
It's on Criterion.
It holds up. Yeah. It's been it's been over there for a while.
That's I like
They're also
Rosemary's
releasing
Baby.
Funny Games and
Great film. Both versions. Michael Hanke's
Blue
original.
Velvet
Blue
as
Velvet's
well.
Great. Yeah, I saw that one recently.
Because they already have Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive is on
which I
Criterion.
own.
That I know.
So yeah, Blue Velvet on Criterion is going to be great,
amazing.
and they're really releasing it in theaters.
Yeah,
I think
I
I'm
can't
shooting a wedding that day. I don't know. We'll see. If I'm not, I definitely.
What's a
wanna
one
go see
night
it.
only type thing?
Yeah, it's just at Alamo. Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
We'll see. I don't know if I'm shooting or not, but
I'm not gonna shoot that wedding. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna go see Blue Velvet.
yeah, I know, right? I'll just not show up. That'll go well for my career.
So the next one is interesting because I've seen it, but I haven't heard about it. So tell me about the Destroyer.
So Destroyer is the latest from. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the cast.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Nicole Kidman's a star.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman's a star.
I like
the Scar.
In the images.
Destroyer.
Of the Scar. Destroyer.
And it's directed by Karen Kusama, who who directed The Invitation, which I
a great movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I really love The Invitation.
Yeah, when I was like, The Invitation, really? She also did Ian Flux.
Jennifer's Body.
She did Girl Fight, a great movie, one of her first films.
And she also did she did one of the shorts in XX as well, along with Jennifer Kent, I believe. Let me see.
Yeah, because The Invitation is her primary film in her filmography. Girl Fight is when I first found out about her. I didn't even know she directed Ian Flux. That's crazy. Ian Flux was
so anyway, she's got an interesting career for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And Destroyer is another kind of interesting addition to that, which is Nicole Kidman plays a detective that discovers the body of somebody with a marking that relates to a gang. This is a really convoluted description, but so this dead body she finds while working a case. She shows up to a crime scene. This dead body has a tattoo that is a tattoo indicating that they were part of this gang. That we find out as the movie kind of unfolds, that her and a fellow detective kind of infiltrate undercover years earlier, and essentially, I don't want to give too much away about how it unfolds, but you find out that the person that ran this gang back when they infiltrated it, who got away at that point, I won't say how, is now back and is sending a message to her to try and get her to, which is kind of to some degree a generic.
I was gonna say it's a rehash plot, but
it's
a
cat and mouse type thing. And in the film, so they show so it's told in kind of out of sequence and told in flashback partially, and it's her kind of dealing with the events that happened back when they were undercover and how that's impacted her today. And we clearly, if you've seen the trailer, you know that in the modern day, she looks a little rough.
Yeah, she doesn't look. She's like almost invisible. I didn't even know it was her until they said
sick.
Nicole Kidman.
Very sickly, and definitely. So clearly, the years have taken a toll on her, and she drinks a lot, and is kind of definitely self-destructive, and so we find out why. So that's essentially the premise of the film. This movie's for me a little bit of a mixed bag. It's interesting, and there's a lot of interesting elements to it, and I think it's pretty well directed, and everybody's good, and I say that about every movie, I feel like.
But you're not wrong.
Performances aren't the problem. My issues with it are more so in kind of not only the structure of the film. It's a little bloated. Some of the side characters get a little too much time, and I feel like the movie. It's, for instance, even with like her makeup and stuff like that in the modern time, or lack thereof, like it's like so obvious that this person's like struggling. You know, it's like it almost reminds me of the season 1 of True Detective with Matthew McConaughey, just doing like looking at physically and just acting really bizarre in the modern time. That's at least a little more interesting of a character because he's like more philosophical about it. But this is more like takes more of the self-destructive route, which is I don't know. I feel like it's a little obvious, and we'll talk about another film that suffers from the same problem here later, where the script just doesn't know how to be subtle about the fact that this person's having a hard time, and it's like it's just so in your face. And then
what you're talking about.
as the movie goes, as the movie kind of unfolds, the events that happen don't, to some degree. I mean, bad things happen, but it like. For her to be as like self-destructive and like just the way she is in the modern time, I feel like what happens in the past doesn't quite, they don't connect enough for that to be justified. I feel like, and maybe that's an overstatement, but I think, I don't know. Again, it lacks a little bit of subtlety. It has an ending that's just eye rolling. I mean, it's just it's like an attempt to be arty and like philosophical almost, and it just completely falls on its face. Like, so I saw this in the theater with my friend Cody, and there was a couple that sat in the back, and about 2 minutes. So there's this weird 5-minute final sequence that is so self-indulgent. And 2 minutes into that sequence, 3 minutes before the movie ends, this couple gets up and walks out. Like 3 minutes before the movie's over, because they were just like, we don't fucking care anymore. Right. And so, like, I like this movie for the most part, and I don't regret seeing it because it's got a lot of there's a lot of interesting things in it. But it like the guy from Cabin in the Woods, one of the leads, I forgot his name. The young guy, the younger one, the shaggy looking dude. Yeah, he's great. Yeah. He's okay. So there's there's fun supporting characters, but I think overall the movie kind of is trying to do too much, and I think it kind of falls apart. But the ending though is so bad. And there's another movie on this list that like the ending definitely takes it down a notch for me. This was one of those though where it really doesn't know how to finish this thing, and there's kind of there's a twist at the end that I don't think works, and then it keeps going, and like the people in the theater, I wanted to leave as well. So that's how I feel about Destroyer. Interesting, but film. Almost, but never. I've walked out. I know. I can see my man Frank Crespo. You out there? He walked out on Nixon. I was like, what? Hurricane Heist was my most recent one, I think. But I've walked out a lot of stuff though, because ultimately, if it's not worth my time, I don't. Well, I still which sounds why you went to see a movie called Hurricane Heist. Not to make fun of it, but there's so many movies on this list that I wanted to walk out of. In fact, one I walked out of in the middle to get popcorn. It was in the middle of the. We'll get to that, but because you love that popcorn from the Alamo Draft House, bro. He's like, I'm leaving. This has been I'm getting some popcorn on my way out. This past month for me for movies. So the next one on my list is another one. Well, this one I think is. I see it, and I'm like, Ron, this is like Hurricane Heist. What are you doing? Well, this movie has like a 75% Rotten Tomatoes, I think. It has a fresh rating. That means nothing. I won't see it. I'll see it on Netflix, maybe. the movie we were talking about is Cold Pursuit. With Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson, bro. And a bunch of other people. I think it's Laura Dern in this movie for 5 minutes. Wait, who? Let me find it. Cold Pursuit. Cold Pursuit. Yeah, Laura Dern is in this movie for 5 minutes. Which is just criminal. Like you can't get Laura Dern and then use her for one scene. Anyway. The plot of this movie is that Liam Neeson plays a guy that he drives. They make it a point to remind you that he drives the same road every day. And then he doesn't venture off the path, which is just such an overused theme. But anyway, he literally he drives a snowplow through. I think that it's out of Denver, I believe. Actually, I made notes on this movie. I know I have it somewhere. Let me find it. I think it's somewhere in Colorado, I believe. And it takes place outside of Denver, and they remind you of that every time they cut to Denver because they show this really poorly CG'd. CG'd, I don't even know if that's a phrase, but this just horrible looking establishing shot of a really snowy Denver. It's just every time. Yeah, Denver is what it is. Like literally, and they cut to Denver like 4 times in this movie, and every time they use the same damn shot of like an empty highway and just this. It's just and it looks horrible CG wise. But anyway. Gosh, I have like a whole page of notes on this. I forgot I wrote all this stuff.
I don't believe you have a page of notes. Just say how bad it was.
So he drives a snowplow down this road, which is kind of the main road in this town up in the mountains every day. He drives there and drives back, and then he lives with Laura Dern, and they have a kid or a son. Who gets into some bad stuff and ends up being killed. Oh no. And then Liam Neeson's character grieves for about one scene and then decides to murder everyone involved in the murder of his son. And it's funny
because the original film that's made, or the director, is called In Order of Disappearance. I'm pretty sure he goes in order to kill each revenge guy.
And it's like, so when I saw the trailer for this, it looked like a tongue-in-cheek. It looked like a twist on the movie Taken.
Every movie he's done after Taken is a twist on Taken.
But it looked like a more well-directed version of that.
Version of it? Yeah, okay.
And so I was at least like, what is this, right?
That movie pass of yours, bro. It's a curse.
Well, the fact of the matter is, there's nothing in theaters right now, and so ultimately, I go to the movies probably once or twice a week, and if there's nothing to see, like I go see anything that's rated well, that I know I won't be painful. And this movie's not that. It's not painful. It's eye rolling at times. It reminds me a lot. So it's definitely paying tribute to movies like Fargo and. And even like some Guy Ritchie stuff, like it has like a Snatch type tone to it. Not quite that like comedic, but like mob guys saying quippy lines, and the villain who runs this mob, I think they're a drug gang. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. They're drug dealers. Yeah. Or maybe not. I don't know. And they run some kind of criminal organization, and there's and part of the plot of the film is that there's a rival Indian crime organization that runs out of Denver that this gang then
Native American Indian, right?
Sure. What's the political correct way?
Well, if you're saying the North American Indians, not Indians from India, right? Because that's what I'm saying. I'm like, all right. Yeah. So the Native American Indians.
Yeah, okay. I mean, no offense to somebody.
No. I had to do that just in case.
What is he talking about? Tricky topic right now for several reasons.
I think it could have been Indians. They came from India. They have a drug thing in Denver. I'm like, how could it be? I've never heard.
But yeah, there's a Native American. Crime organization based in Denver but this gang ran by this freaking comic book character of a leader.
I don't see who the leader is. Go on.
He gets mad because somebody put a cookie in his kid's lunch. Like just throws a whole hissy fit about it. This guy is like such a cartoon. He's like John Malkovich in Bird Box, like cartoon. That's a callback to our last episode. But anyway, which I hear is a good way to do comedy is you should point out your callbacks and your jokes. No, but he's as much of a cartoon as John Malkovich from Bird Box, and in that like. Every line of dialogue is just so like over the top and ridiculous. But anyway, so this gang ran by this cartoon, and the Native American. I don't know if they're gangs. I don't know if you call them that. But they're definitely more of a crime organization.
Yeah, I got you. Native American crime organization.
They ran more like a business. There's a turf war that breaks out because of all these murders that start happening. And
does his son get killed because of this turf war, or no?
I can't really say. I don't even remember.
Does Liam Neeson go after the Native American gang as well?
Liam Neeson goes after the cartoon characters.
Yes.
Okay. Mainly because they're the ones that are predominantly involved.
Okay, I got you.
And their response is what causes the Native American crime organization to start the turf war. So, God, I have so many notes on this. I should have looked over these again when they do this. So the movie has this really odd sense of humor about it that is part of my complaint about it. So while it's trying, this movie's really trying. And again, like I said, it's trying in the same way that like a Fargo and it just doesn't succeed at being as clever as those movies are. Mm-hmm. And like I don't know, they do a title card every time somebody dies in this movie, which is just annoying.
Like what do you mean, like?
They literally if
Jim
somebody dies,
dead.
literally. And so like every time, and so they'll say like Snacky is dead.
No, they do not.
And they use like the gang name. Yeah, literally. And it shows like it says like rest in peace, and it's like this.
No, it does not.
And so again, it's like it's very aware of itself and very self-indulgent, and at times it's fun, right? There's like the crime boss that's a cartoon is entertaining to watch at times because he's just an asshole, and you know it's fun to watch somebody be an asshole sometimes.
Snacky's dead.
Yeah, and I don't know if Snacky's a real character,
but that's the gist. Jim Dean.
Well, and he has like these weird rules for his son, and he's clearly he's going through a divorce or has been divorced with his wife.
So that's why Laura Dern's on it.
And like he's almost more of a main character than Liam Neeson, which is another problem with this film is that it doesn't. So the movie looks like it's definitely about Liam Neeson, and he's in this movie for about 50% of it. Like he's just he almost plays a side character in his own story, and so that's a problem for sure.
Of course,
because I even though the crime guy, the cartoon character, is interesting and fun to watch at times, it just like the movie just feels like it doesn't have a focus, right? Laura Dern has nothing to do, which is the biggest problem I have with it. And that was actually my other note that I left, which is that halfway through the movie I felt like I knew more about the villain than Liam Neeson. And then there's like no real background as to why Liam Neeson, like how he learned how to murder people and hide the bodies, you know?
Because they say watch Taken, that'll sum it up for you.
Which is could be fun if there has to be a line in it though where they say, because if like some kind of line where like, where'd you learn how to do this?
Yeah.
Like, I've always known, or something stupid. Like I would give it a pass if they at least were indulgent to that degree. But it's just kind of a mess, and I understand why this was released in February because there's nothing else out, and it's like, and it's probably better than everything else that's out right now. But
you actually said that after all that?
But that's the fact of the matter. There's just not much good out right now, and
nothing starts until now March. They start doing things in March. It used to be June.
Well, yeah, and depending on when you're listening to this, if you are,
April.
Ultimately there could be great stuff out right now. Who knows? Who knows when now is really time's a flat circle. No, but I think it's just a mess. Don't see it. Don't see Cold Pursuit. Maybe if it were released on Netflix, I think this could be like, But going to see it in the theater, I felt like I want my time back.
Yeah, I got you.
Not as much as a few other movies on this list, but Jesus Christ, we'll get to that.
So a couple of more older films. This one is.
Well, we'll get to these really quickly. So
The Insider,
the Insider, which is Michael Mann, which I saw. I started this movie. We watched Collateral, my brother and I, because I wanted to show him that, and he's seen Heat and now Collateral. And then afterwards, I was in the mood for Michael Mann because I've always been a huge fan because Heat was a movie that changed my life. Yeah. I saw it on TNT. It was like 4 hours long with all the commercials, and it was a movie where I was like, everybody else was asleep and I was watching and just going like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like I can't wait for people to wake up so I can talk about it. Have you seen this movie Heat, Mom and Dad? Heat was life-changing for me, and I showed it to everyone I know.
You did that to my dad.
And so we watched Collateral, and then at like 2 o'clock in the morning when Collateral's done, I hadn't seen The Insider. Actually, I think I've seen the first
I've never seen it.
30 minutes of it. But I watched it and was just completely blown away by it. In the same way of Heat. Like, this movie is so outstanding, and just from a direct... I mean, Michael Mann directs the shit out of this movie. And I know this is, you're talking about how eloquent I've been. I don't have eloquent thoughts about The Insider, but everybody's like freaking Russell Crowe gives one of the best performances I've ever seen from him in this. And Al Pacino's really good, obviously, but this movie, it looks so good. And I know it's based on a true story, which is an interesting story in the way it unfolds. And I know that they definitely took some liberties, which they actually say in the credits. But it's so effective. It's beautiful to look at in the way that all of Michael Mann, because I recently saw Manhunter as well,
great film,
which is another just underrated classic. I mean, that's a classic movie.
Michael
It's
Mann
so good.
Was the shit, bro.
I think he's one of my favorite directors now. I think he's top 10.
Have you seen Thief yet?
Well, I bought that.
Well,
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Thief is a really good movie. You got to check it out.
But yeah, after seeing this and rewatching Collateral, which is so good, and
you like Collateral? Interesting.
It's not as good as Heat, but it definitely has a lot of interesting stuff.
Tom Cruise is good in it. I like Tom Cruise.
And then it's kind of a stripped down thriller with good performances. It's definitely not as good as his earlier stuff, but
of course not.
like what is? But yeah, I mean, but with Manhunter, The Insider, and Heat alone, let alone A Thief, which I hear is good. Last of the Mohicans, I haven't seen in a long time.
Is good too. Yeah.
So I mean, like the dude, like props to Michael Mann. That's all I want to say. I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about Michael Mann and how much he means to me.
Hey, look, watch the first season of Miami Vice, one of the greatest shows on earth with Michael Mann. Yeah, it's going.
Anyway,
Sunshine.
So then Sunshine, which is another underrated classic.
Danny Boyle.
But this is also one of those movies that like everybody on Reddit's like, but have you seen Sunshine? So it's an underrated classic.
It is, yeah.
But it's become a cult hit, and people are aware that it's underrated. So that's not like some hot take.
Yeah. It's just interesting how it didn't get a lot of play here in the States. It's like I remember reading about it after 28 Days Later. And then one day I was like sitting at home and it's on Cinemax, and I said, "Isn't that Danny Boyle film?" And it was.
Well,
and I was like, "What?"
I think part of it is if you look at it, like somebody like Cillian Murphy, who is just amazing.
He's a great actor.
And he's good at everything. That dude's
I agree.
so good.
I agree with you.
But like even Chris Evans is in it. You have I think Rose Byrne is in it.
Yeah.
Like, there's all these this really great cast. If you're watching it now.
Back then they were like small actors, and now they're bigger actors.
Like this is before Captain America.
No.
So and he's kind of annoying in this movie, but ultimately. Ultimately, it's got a really good cast, and I think, but this movie just visually it holds up really well.
The visuals are what's amazing,
and it's got Cillian Murphy is so fantastic, and I'm a sucker for movies like Alien to some degree. Movies where people go on some kind of space expedition and there's some ship that they lost at some point, and we're coming across that ship. Dead Space 2 has some sequence like that too. There's like
Event Horizon, another great underrated classic.
It's one of the only Paul W.S. Anderson films I don't hate.
Hey, look at that. That's good. That's praise, bro, from Jeremy.
Well, he did the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, I know every film he's made. That's one of my favorite films from him.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm just a sucker for like the coming across some kind of the thing is that ultimately the thing.
Alien would be the first.
And then the thing references
would be,
this event that happened on another base that we don't see that happens off screen, and I love lore like that. Like I'm a huge fan of like what happened to those people because that's always an interesting story.
Of course.
So Sunshine, they go to detonate a bomb in the sun. It's such a stupid premise.
It is a dumb premise.
But ultimately the way I think good sci-fi, like a movie like Alien. I don't know that Sunshine's as good as Alien.
No, not at all.
But Alien's good because it spends time with the characters and the crew, and you really get this interesting interaction between all of them. And I think Sunshine gives you plenty of time. Like Interstellar is another movie I love. Yeah. Has all like
I like
it's
that one.
While it has really good sci-fi stuff in it. It's the characters are really well drawn and they're interesting and they don't feel like cliches. Chris Evans gets there a little at times, but. I it's just a really, really solid, space. We don't have a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
Even though we just listed like 5, there's not a whole lot outside of that.
Or
the one, or at least that are good.
Good. There you go. Good ones.
And so it was just kind of fresh. I was really sick the day I watched it, and it was just kind of refreshing.
That came out, I think, 2005,
7 or something.
Yeah. Let me see. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, it just like. Came and went, and I'm like, whatever happened to this movie? But
really good.
Yeah, Sunshine. Here we go. 2007. Anyway. You're right. Yeah. Go on.
Probably my favorite Danny Boyle film. I'd have to look over.
Interesting. Really?
What else is he? I mean,
28 Days Later is my favorite. Still, Slumdog Millionaire.
There's the S word. I was looking for. He did. But what was the first one you said?
28 Days Later.
Oh yeah, I do love 28 Days Later. Didn't he do Trainspotting?
No, not Trainspotting. Grave. Oh my God, what do you call that? Shallow Grave, which is his first film, which is amazing. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shallow Grave is one of my favorite Danny Boyle films. I go back. Oh, he did 127 hours? Holy cow! Yeah. I didn't know that.
Oh, he's in some really good movies, but I'm trying to
Trust,
think if I like
which
any of them.
You mentioned Trust. I think I saw Trust too.
I don't know if I
Trainspotting. He did do Trainspotting. He did Steve Jobs.
I do really like that Steve Jobs adaptation.
He did a Frankenstein. What?
But yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that was it. And then,
I think it's probably my favorite of his.
Which one? Sunshine?
Yeah, I think it's probably my favorite.
Now I'm gonna have to watch it again to see.
It's really good. Anyway,
so then you got these last 2 movies.
Well, I have 3. So Green Book is the
Oh
last
yeah, you
one
want
we'll
to
talk about, which will get us to the
yeah.
Oscars. But
Yeah.
so anyway, this pile of shit, Happy Death Day 2. No, it's not a pile of shit, but it's
I love
pretty
part
bad.
one. I love part one.
I do really like part one,
Yeah,
even though it's kind of like it's not like some outstanding movie, but
No,
it's fun.
it's a horror version of Groundhog's Day. Which
Well,
is
it's
it's
Scream.
fun.
It's Scream meets Groundhog's Day. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek,
Yeah.
slasher, and it's fine, right?
Yeah,
The first
yeah.
one's like it's like a good Netflix kind of movie, right?
Oh yeah.
And this is I'm glad. So this movie is definitely entering into like Scream 2 territory, or Scream. Which Scream is it? Where she's being chased on the movie set of her house from the first movie. Three. Yeah. So it's entering into that stupid territory, and there's elements of that are fun, right? So the premise of this is that the Asian friend of theirs in Happy Death Day 1 that like walks in on them.
The funny guy.
He starts. It's like it opens with him kind of waking up every day and being killed, and so the cycle has started happening to him. But we don't know why.
Yeah.
And then for a completely unexplained reason, there's like one of the faults of this movie is that the science in it doesn't really make any sense, and they try and like justify. This movie is there's a lot of science in this movie,
Interesting.
and even if some of it might be real or based in some kind of realistic science, it doesn't come across that way. It comes across as like we blew up this thing and it caused you to start being killed every day. Like it's like it's a silly premise that's trying to be justified by some kind of science. It's like we don't need that like at all, But so anyway, this gets transferred back to our main character from the first movie for some reason, and because the Asian guys,
are you trying to be non-spoiler by saying that, or are you just saying?
I mean, ultimately, it's not that.
It's not that.
It's a pointlessly complicated explanation, but essentially, the Asian guy and his classmates are working on some kind of scientific device that emits.
That is very. I'm intrigued now. Now I want to see it today. I love part one so much, and now I want to see part two even more because of what you're saying.
It's not even like I mean, there's moments where I smiled, right? This movie's at times fun, so it's not like a complete waste of time, but there's just. So there's a few I have a lot of problems with it.
I can see that.
Well, like Steve Zissou, I think is how you pronounce his last name, from Togetherness. Is in it. He plays the principal who gets mad that they're doing this experiment and it's like causing power outages around campus. And he's like I love him in Togetherness, but like he just seems like a I don't know. It's like Henry Winkler in Scream. It's just like he comes across as comedy relief, but he's not written that way, and it's just in terms of casting, like you're casting somebody who looks like the kind of the funny silly idiot, and that works in certain situations, but like in this, he's not written clever, like in a way that makes him. It's like, why did you cast him for what like lines of dialogue he has in this? It's so odd, and so that's a problem because it's like. He's supposed to be like one of the main people trying to shut this project down, and it's just like we don't need that. First of all, there's already tension with the fact that she's being killed every day, but in some of it, because of the way that this science and all this stuff works out, it doesn't feel like there's any consequences for anything that happens, even though they try and remind you, like, well, but if we can't blow up the thing or if we can't do this by this time, then I'll get stuck here forever or whatever. And it's like. What's interesting about the movie, though, to give it some credit, is they take the premise of the first one, like and I can't go into this would be into spoiler territory, but there's certain elements of her life in the first movie that all of a sudden become altered in this new reality or whatever the fuck dimension or whatever's going on scientifically that the movie's trying to explain, and so her life is different. Like the people in her her relationships with certain people in her sorority is different. Like the dynamics are different between the characters, which makes it for an interesting sequel from a standpoint.
I got it. Now I'm more interested.
Because and so again, like there's interesting stuff there, and I think for about an hour I was like, this is fun, harmless, right? And then like the movie doesn't. It feels like they needed to pad it for runtime, and like it genuinely, it's like it sets up this whole. I don't know, like I can't go into spoilers to explain exactly what I'm talking about, but like she needs to go somewhere to get back to her reality, and then she does this detour for 15 minutes that has nothing to do with really anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, is at least the way that the movie's set up, it doesn't make any sense why she would do this detour.
Yeah.
And it's like this feels like padding, right?
Yeah,
And so there's moments where it's like, just end already. Like you were fine, just end,
just
right?
do it, yeah.
Which is the opposite complaint I have about our next film, but we'll get to that. Gosh, I don't hate this as much as the next film on our list.
I'll bet.
The next film on our list is my least favorite movie. Happy Death Day 2 is harmless. It's not good, but I don't hate the fact that we're entering Scream 3 territory.
Yeah, I got you.
Right. It's like I enjoy kind of the self-aware sequel.
Yes,
it's better than trying to be serious.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
With horror sequels that are already kind of silly to begin with. So whatever. Don't go see it in theaters though. It's not worth seeing. Alita, Battle Angel, right? Which just the fact that I told you I hate this movie is some of you might be already frustrated.
Wow.
It's based on
why they would be. Go on.
Well, I mean, it's got mixed reviews, but overall, people are like, well, I know it's based on a manga, right, from the 90s, I believe.
Yes.
Which is really a kind of a hit series.
Yeah, all these anime things are.
And I understand why, though, from a standpoint of like, if we get them at
all.
all.
The Americans destroy everything.
Well,
like a Cold Pursuit.
And so this is an adaptation of that manga by Robert Rodriguez, and James Cameron executive produced it.
It just bothers me.
So Robert Rodriguez is a filmmaker, and this is just to intro my thoughts on Robert Rodriguez. But like, I like Desperado, I like El Mariachi, I like
From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, come on,
but then like Spy Kids 3D,
shorts.
There's some bad stuff
really
in there. I watched Spy Kids 3D doesn't hold up, by the way, in case you guys are wondering.
Sylvester Stallone is amazing there. I rolled my eyes for those who didn't see it.
So he has just kind of a mixed bag for me. I think I like him less as the years go on. Like, I don't think Desperado holds up as much as it did when I first saw it.
And that's why I get angry, because I loved Robert. And even Grindhouse, I do dig the Planet Terror story. I don't love it, but I dig it. But I mean, I don't know what he's been doing. I mean, he did what, Predators? Didn't he do the last Predator movie? I mean, it's sad. His career has become almost, I guess after his wife divorced him, I guess. He just, I got a lot of money. I'm cool in Texas. Everyone knows me. I get free drinks.
I don't know. But yeah, he's ultimately this has been a passion project for him and James Cameron for a long time.
Yeah, James Cameron too.
And there's moments in this film where you see that, right? And a couple things. So, well, I guess we'll say the plot. So it's based on this manga, adapted by Robert Rodriguez, about this Christoph Waltz. Comes across the body of this she's essentially a robot hybrid that is in this trash pile that comes from this floating city, kind of like Elysium. And the trash falls into this under the city underneath all of it, where all the rest of the people that aren't rich live.
Yeah, Elysium.
Yes, it's the premise of Elysium with this kind of cyborg robot girl that may have a backstory that she's discovering as the movie goes on, which is the reason for why she has these combat abilities that are extraordinary. And so she, with the aid of Christoph Waltz and another pointless character in this movie. There's this assistant of Christoph Waltz that's in this movie that doesn't have a single, like, she has like one line, and she's in every scene with Christoph Waltz, and I'm like, why is she in this movie? Whatever. One of my complaints. I have a lot of complaints.
Probably one.
So anyway, with the aid of that person and Christoph Waltz and a few other supporting characters, she is attempting to make her way to this city above ground to discover her past and that's her motivation basically. And I don't have a problem with
the cast.
I don't have a problem with any of that, right? I like, even though there's obvious comparisons to movies like Elysium and so, and that theme of, like, the elite living in some kind of all that's, even though it's a little overdone, it's fine. You can do that and make it interesting, and visually this movie's really impressive as well. Like, the CG is really good.
Yeah, no, I give you that.
Especially considering it, the entire performance is motion capture.
Yeah.
Which is off-putting at times, it's still like it's really impressive how far that technology's come. And you know, if you're listening to this 10 years from now, maybe you go, "Ooh, that movie looked terrible." I don't know, but right now it's like it's convincing enough, especially for a lead character in a movie where everything is motion capture, and it's I buy it, right?
Yeah.
But there's definitely moments where it takes you out, but that's a minor complaint. Overall, the world looks interesting. It's very uniquely detailed, and some of the characters are designed really well. And it has kind of a video game design style to it. And obviously it's based off a manga, so it was
I'm pretty sure that this movie made for kids
that way.
anyway, but yeah.
But so all that stuff isn't it's all kind of that's all there. It's all the backdrop, and that stuff works, right?
Yeah.
So this movie's not a complete loss. But there's some frustrating performances in it. The script is it lacks any kind of depth to any of these characters. I mean, the lead Alita is likable, and like I was trying to describe her motivation for wanting to go up to this city above, and I don't even remember what it was to some degree. I was describing that just 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's all right.
and I don't really even remember why. And again, it may just be because I have a bad memory. It also may be because the movie doesn't. It just doesn't. I feel like the motivations of any character throughout this movie, they're just not fleshed out well.
Yeah.
And so it feels surface level, despite the fact that it's beautiful and all this stuff. But when you start kind of breaking down the details of it, I feel like the movie falls apart. Like, for instance, they venture out of this under city that they live in. Somebody says they remember seeing some kind of ship out in the middle of the woods outside of the city, and so they go which is another. I'm describing something that's like it feels like the movie needed for them to go find that spaceship or whatever it is. It's just not spaceship. It's like some kind of aircraft, and it's like there's just all these moments in the plot that feel very contrived and feel just it's like this is the next thing that needs to happen. It feels very video game like in a way that doesn't work. This could absolutely work as a video game if you could play as Alita and murder all these people and just have fun fighting these unique looking bad guys, but like as a movie it doesn't feel tied together. And so I have an issue with that, and so we have this, we're building up to this kind of third act finale where she makes it to this city and takes out this bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Who is ruling over all this land and
predators. Okay, go on. I just had to find what he did with that. Go
on. So that's what we're building up to, right?
Yeah.
And about 30 minutes before I thought this movie was going to end, the end credits roll, right? And so I'm telling you all this. This is the natural progression to that story where, she finds out who she is. She goes to the main city. She kills the bad guy. Movie's over. We're all happy, right? Yeah. And so once the second act ended, they had this whole montage where there's also a game in the movie. And I know I'm rambling, but there's a game in this movie. I forgot what it's called, but they're in this arena. It's kind of Tron-like.
Yeah, I see the trailer.
You like skate around and they chase after this ball. It's like a kind of like a basketball. And
rollerball?
Kind of like rollerball, yeah. And so you fight people as you try and get this ball, and it's like I thought that would at least be fun, and I don't think the game makes any sense and is interesting. That's a problem for me too. But anyway, the champion of this rollerball series gets to go to Elysium, right?
And we are calling it Elysium now, guys.
I mean, it is.
We're referencing the movie it's over.
So she wants to become the next champion of this game, and I'm sure anybody that really likes this manga is going to be really frustrated with me because I don't know the names of any of this shit.
So wait, so you're saying Alita wants to be the champion of this game
so that she can go to
outside
Elysium.
of the whole story, or is that the story?
It's just so they try and find other ways to get there, and that ultimately becomes the only way.
All right. I was going to say this movie just became a cartoon, but anyway, go on.
Well, and there's even this concept that like no matter what they do, the people that run this land above or the city could still just deny entry for whatever reason anyway. Like, which is a whole nother. It's just like, okay, so they're gonna let you come up to the city and kill. It doesn't. So again, this movie falls apart when you start breaking down the actual details, and because it just feels surface level, and then so we're setting up that ending, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to reveal kind of what happens in the second act, and there's these revelations made, and she's kind of discovering who she is, and then the movie ends. So it ends before she goes to Elysium, right? And that might be a spoiler to some people. I don't give a fuck. The movie doesn't have an ending, right? And this is where I went from going, oh, this movie sucks, to this is a fucking pile of shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's a pile of shit not because... So that ending exists somewhere in the sequel that we'll get at some point.
Maybe it'll be on the Blu-ray or it's like you
No.
said, and then next year,
so that's what they're
will
doing, right?
choose.
It's so I've never felt more cheated by a movie, even because this movie is not very good for all of its runtime, right?
Yeah.
And then rather than ending your movie, your mediocre movie, on just and us going, that wasn't great, you set up a sequel. You cut. It's like, I mean, this is worse than The Hobbit, right? Where it's like, because at least The Hobbit has some kind of lore and world that they could build upon for some kind of sequels. But you haven't even seen
I've
Lord of the
never
Rings.
seen another.
But so there's anyway. But my point being that like, The Hobbit was a really short book that was split up into 3 movies, right?
Yeah.
And that's bad enough. But this is like you're taking an act of a movie, and then they're gonna make how many sequels with that act of a movie?
Yeah.
Like, because it's literally, that's all it is just the third act, and they took it out of the movie and said, we're gonna make a sequel with that third act.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck that, man. Like, not only it's just a disrespect to not only audiences, but like how can you do that to a movie? Like, because at least like a movie, like a franchise film series like Hunger Games, at least each individual film has a 3-act story structure, and it's a complete movie. This is an incomplete movie. It's like if EA, my brother and I are talking about like how EA releases incomplete games all the time. They did it with Anthem just recently, which is just this. It's a disaster to video games because it's like. You're not, and I'm not like a crazed video game fanatic. I like video games, but like it's. I can't imagine like if you cared as much about video games as I do about movies, when EA releases a game that's not finished and says, well, but if you buy the DLC, the game will be finished a year from now, and it's like, well, why did you release it to begin with, right?
Yeah, well, that's the horror of video games. They all do that.
Sure. Well, and that's the biggest problem is all of a sudden other like. Bethesda, a really fantastic game studio, released Fallout 76 incomplete, regardless of whether or not the developers were in charge of all that, because ultimately, the video game industry is more complicated.
Yeah,
than
it's
just,
like a whole different podcast.
but still though, like it's bleeding out into because other people are looking at EA going, it's working for them financially, so why wouldn't we just go, hey, the game's not finished, but we'll release it anyway. I don't feel like this movie was. I feel like they either made this film and then broke up that last chapter, and they're just going to add a bunch of filler to it and make it a second film. Yeah. I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if they filmed the second movie already while they're doing this, but it's like it feels like this movie's not complete. There's not a complete arc. There's not the tradition. Not every film has to be a complete 3-act story structure, but like you need some kind of beginning, middle, and end, and this doesn't have an ending, and it's like. That's bullshit. Like I just there's movies that I think are worse than this movie. Like, so I have a few of my least favorite films I've ever seen, which is like Transformers 2, which I really hate that film. But that's a 3-hour movie, and that's part of my problem with it. It shouldn't be that long. But at least it has a beginning, middle, and end. And it feels like, even though it's a part of this massive franchise, it feels like, that they were at least making a finished film. Yeah. This is them just not even finishing the movie and going, we'll just leave the rest for a sequel. It's like, that's garbage, And I just don't approve of it in any fashion, and that makes me hate the rest of this even more. Right, and so it's like you gotta understand where I'm coming from. Where it's like, this is I'm not you're talking about, but these people that love the manga, it's like I get it. Like I get that. Like this premise could be done effectively, and it sucks that it's not. Right, it sucks that it's not as compelling as this material could be. But it's even worse that they're looking at it going, we're not even going to give you a full film because we're going to make a sequel.
With the rest,
and it's like, that's bullshit. And that's bad for movies, and it's bad for fans, and it's bad for everyone. So fuck you, Alita Battle Angel. That's complete garbage. But the good news about it is I did have a good time laughing at it.
Yeah, so, that's good. Did you see with anyone else?
I did. Yeah, and there was a point in the movie where what's his name? He's like probably third billing in the cast.
Just one bus supporting actor, Bahar Ali.
No. He has nothing to do in this. Which is another thing I wanted to say. I guess we could talk about it when we talk about Green Book. But like that dude's putting on a freaking acting clinic in True Detective every week, and it's already over now, season 3. But I mean, he is lights out fantastic in that show. And in this, he has nothing to do, and it's like, what a waste. What a waste of Mahershala. He is so fantastic. You gotta
have a cast that's gonna bring people to the theater, since there's not that many people in the cast.
Ed Skrein is who I was talking about, who was in Deadpool. He's in with If Beale Street Could Talk for a scene or two. Yeah, so anyway, I don't dislike that guy. But I mean, his character is also a cartoon in this. It was literally based off a manga, so he's an animated character, literally. But not animated, but you know what I mean.
I got you.
That joke didn't make enough sense, but that's okay. I don't have to point it out.
I got you, brother.
Anyway, Ed Skrein character shows up to just be annoying in this movie, in Alita. And there's a point in like midway through the second act, which is almost at the end of the film because they don't have a third act in this movie. He shows up, and my friend David, who he likes movies, but it's like not like we take him along because it's always interesting to see what he thinks about stuff. We've thought about doing a podcast where it's just David, things that David thinks about things or something like that. So anyway, he's laughing throughout this whole film because he thinks it's really bad. And anytime he thinks something's bad enough, he'll laugh audibly in a theater regardless of who's there. And there's a point in this movie where Ed Skrein shows up and David goes, "Oh God." And I started laughing uncontrollably.
Was it a packed theater?
Because I was like, no, it was maybe, and I felt bad for the other five people in the theater, but like, it was just, it's so funny to like get, to be hating a movie and then hear somebody when a bad guy shows up go, "Oh God, more of this guy." Like, that's how bad this movie is. So anyway, it's just a disaster, this film. And that ending is unacceptable, but whatever. Enough of Alita Battle Angel. People hate me for not liking it. But it's like, I want everything to be good. It's not like a matter of me wanting to hate things. It's just more like, even just for fans of Alita, like, they didn't give you an ending to your fucking movie adaptation. Like, come on, you should be more angry. Anyway, Green Book, which isn't gonna make me much happier. I'm sorry that I hate everything in this podcast, guys. Usually I like most of the stuff we talk about.
The end of your list you hate.
Green Book is much better than Alita, which I would hope.
That's offensive to everybody who
that just won.
Just gave it a best picture fucking nod. Oh my God.
Anyway, it's the story of
Viggo Mortensen is horrible. I could tell you that right there.
So this movie's about a stereotypical Italian gentleman, buffoon is a better word, who loves his food and loves talking with his hands and loves saying really obnoxious, stupid things and doesn't know how to say things eloquently. And he is tasked with he plays like essentially a kind of a enforcer for this nightclub in New York City, and the nightclub gets shut down for 2 months because of some brawl that broke out, or financial reasons. I forgot exactly, but it's shut down for exactly 2 months, and somebody comes along, Mahershala Ali comes along. He's an artist, a pianist that they call him Dr. What's his name? You have it pulled up.
It's Vector. Okay. That's all it says. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? I'm on the wrong thing.
That's Alita, isn't it? Anyway, Mahershala Ali, who is referred to as Dr. something, we'll find it in a second. He's this kind
Dr. Don Shirley.
Don Shirley. It's literally the Don Shirley. Anyway, I should know that, but whatever. I'm tired, guys.
Tony Lip.
Tony Lip is Viggo Mortensen's character, who, despite being out of work for 2 months, gets a perfect job offer of exactly 2 months from Mahershala Ali to drive him around while he does performances in the Deep South, and so he needs this kind of enforcer to make sure that nothing bad goes on while he's down there performing for rich people in these kind of in southern venues, so that they can feel cultured. Which is not, that's a line from the film. And so I think this movie could be interesting, right? Like, I think the premise of it could be done really effectively and could be, I think, like, really fantastic in the hands of somebody like Steve McQueen, right? For instance. And I'm not just saying it because he's a black filmmaker. I'm talking about, like, a movie like 12 Years a Slave, which I think is just a scathing, brutal movie about slavery, and doesn't hold back at all in regards to the subject matter.
I think I know why you're saying that, because of the director.
Well, so Greenberg, and so it's mostly the script, actually. The script is the problem, and I think it won Best Screenplay, didn't it?
I'm going to check right now.
Which is just fucking unbelievable. But so it's made with care. It's made with this movie is well intended in every way, I think. I don't think it's not like Alita where they're trying, they're not trying to win Best Picture. This movie was made with care, but I think it's so obvious in everything it's trying to do that it fails to move and enthrall, in my opinion, right? Yeah. So a movie like if you're talking about other, like, black films of the recent years that should have been nominated for Best Picture, If Beale Street Could Talk, a movie like Moonlight, or which is deserving of Best Picture, even though I thought La La Land should have won that year.
I agree.
Moonlight's still really fantastic because it's not only is it a realistic portrayal of the story of a black man, a gay black man, but it's brutal and moving and just honest, right? This movie feels like a film made for grandparents, right? Like, it's just a nice kind of warm, like it's a movie that my grandmother would have saw back when she was alive and gone, oh, that's a nice movie, and so the script feels it like the comedy is very broad and kind of like, there's a scene where they stop at a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he goes, your people love chicken, and it's like, really, like, this movie got nominated for won Best Picture, and we're it's literally a scene written just for a joke, and it's like, that doesn't progress the plot or do anything at all. Or, for instance, like, we find out that Viggo Mortensen's character is racist because two black men come to work in his house, and a bunch of, he's Italian, so his family's all with him, and they come over to kind of protect his wife from the black people while he sleeps, and he wakes up to these black men and sees them drinking water that his wife has given them, or lemonade or something, from two glasses, and he throws the glasses away because he's racist. Right? And I'm not saying this didn't happen before, right? That's not the point. Like, racism exists. Like, I'm not denying that, obviously. And there's probably somebody who's thrown away glasses that black people have, drank from before. I'm not saying, but there's nothing subtle about that at all, right? And that's just a perfect example of the way that this film handles every aspect of it, of the comedy, of the racism, of the drama, even, like, the Mahershala Ali character, who's probably the most interesting thing about this film, is dealing with kind of loneliness and the fact that he's kind of to some degree he's definitely rich, he's wealthy, and kind of very famous in the kind of music industry as well, for the elite. Like, he's very, like, acclaimed, but not necessarily somebody that would be played on the radio, right?
Correct,
and there's a loneliness that comes to him for, like, he's participating in an art form that black people haven't been associated with, and that in itself is bold, or courageous is the way the movie describes it. But he doesn't really, to some degree, doesn't fit in with the elite white, kind of the classical traditions of music. He doesn't fit in with that crowd, but he also doesn't fit in with, his to some degree, the black community. And the film kind of makes it, and that's interesting. But it's still, there's a line in it where somebody says, like, he said, like, I'm lonely. And you're like, oh my God. Like, you don't need to tell us that. We're smart enough to pick up on that inherently by watching this character do things. Like, don't tell us what you're feeling. Like, and so the movie is just constantly, like, telling you how to feel, telling you.
Condescending,
And it's, well, for grandma, they go, oh, that's, because it's made for people who either don't see movies very often or just, we're smarter than that, right? And like, we want, these characters don't feel real to some degree. They feel like stereotypes, and that's a big problem. Like, and, the film was kind of criticized when it got nominated for Best Picture, especially when it won, for, to some degree, being kind of a, white savior film.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I first, I've had a weird experience with this movie because I did see it after it won Best Picture. Right. I have to be very clear about that. You're coming into it with that lens. But even when it got nominated, I went, because it got really good reviews, actually. I think it got 90%. It's dropped since then, which is kind of interesting, critically at least. But it got like a 94% or something when I first kind of saw that it was playing in theaters, and so I was like, oh, then I saw the trailer and I was like, huh? That doesn't.
Agreed.
It looks a little cheesy, and it is absolutely that. And then, but people, it showed up on some people's lists. It got nominated for Best Picture at several different awards, and then the Oscars. And then I went, maybe it is good. I mean, the reviews are really good. I need to see it. And then it won Best Picture, and then there's been this huge backlash, which it's just a weird. This whole situation is very bizarre, and it's. I almost, there was a point when, even when it won, where I was almost defending some of these complaints that people were having for it being like a white savior film. I was like, but you haven't even seen it, There were people that had seen it that had said that, but then there's a bunch of people that were just angry. And I was trying to reserve that frustration until I'd seen the film, right? I don't like, it's hard to complain about the Oscars if you haven't seen the movies that are nominated. And I haven't seen all of them, but goddamn, this movie should not have been nominated for Best Picture.
I agree with you.
And it's baffling. And it's not a horrible film. It's not entertaining. These Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, just their interaction is entertaining at times, but the film just lacks any subtlety in every aspect, and it's a big problem. And so again, like looking at, I remember when I was frustrated about the Best Picture thing, and somebody said like, well, it's because I had said, like, there's other films that should have been nominated, and I was referring to movies like Blind Spotting and If Beale Street Could Talk, and somebody, like, criticized me because it was a black film, and I was like, what? Like, that's not at all.
Blind Spotting and
like,
If Beale
Blind
Could
Spotting
Talk.
was the second favorite film of mine in this theater. The only thing that beat out was Hereditary.
Racist is racist.
Well, and I was just like, so that has nothing to do with it. This movie, and I'm not saying that could be the case for some people where they're like, that's political. Good riddance, whatever. I don't care about any of that. Because Blind Spotting is also political. All these films are political, but that's not necessarily a problem at all, in every case. And I don't think Green Book was made politically. I don't think it's a movie that's, I don't think it's any of those things.
I agree with that,
Doesn't mean it's not, it doesn't mean it's good, and it isn't good. But it's not a pile of shit either. It's somewhere in the middle. It's like a 3.5 star movie. It looks really good. It's shot well. And again, even though I don't like the way that the script handles anything, Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali are at least good at, elevating this material a little bit. Even though it's just so obnoxious at times. Like Viggo Mortensen's character is just so poorly written.
Cartoon
like he's like eating food while driving in every scene. And you're just like, oh my, like we get it. Like he's kind of a doofus, and it's like, it just is so annoying at times. And I was in a theater with a bunch of old people, and there's a woman that's sitting next to me kind of smiling and then like occasionally looking over at me, like just like looking to see if I was like enjoying it. And I was trying not, I was confused the whole movie. Like I felt bad for her because she was clearly having a good time, but it's just, this movie it's very vanilla.
Vanilla. I like that. And I agree with you. I mean, and I haven't even seen the film, but just looking at that trailer, I was like, I was like, oh my God. And then like at the Golden Globes, didn't win much. And I was like, yeah, that's not. And then when it got nominated, I was like, what's going on now? And then again, I mean, and I guess we're leading right into it, but this year's Oscars is another sham. It's another, don't worry, everyone's going to win an award, and here's your best picture for Green Book, and here, Black Panther, you'll get score, and Spike Lee, you'll get another adapted screenplay, almost like this one, Black Klansman, and then, and here, original screenplay went to Green Book too, which is unbelievable.
Well, so there's two things to talk about, right? Which is what got nominated and then what won, right?
Okay.
Ultimately,
we can do that. We can start with that.
I guess we could. Let's start with.
I know what you're going to say because.
I made a list. I made a list of the good and the bad, right? Okay. And now that I've seen Green Book, I don't know. I haven't looked at this list since I did that.
Yeah.
But because I actually did this when we were going to record 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So there's some good stuff, right? And I want to be like, A Star Is Born is really good.
Yes.
The Favorite is really good.
Yes.
Black Klansman is really good.
Yes.
Vice is really good.
Yeah.
All these movies are really good, and I don't.
Rhapsody's really good.
I haven't seen that one yet, so I can't really comment on it. But yeah, you say it's good. So
yeah, that's why I knew it was nominated.
So all those movies are like I don't dislike. I think I haven't seen Roma either.
Yeah.
So again, there's some movies that I haven't seen. But at the same time, I don't dislike that those movies were nominated. Whether or not, if you look at our top tens, I mean, I would have. Well, we'll get to the bad later, but there's more good. I want to talk about the good, right? Bradley Cooper is good in Vice. I'm glad that he got nominated. In A Star Is Born. Sorry, I'm really glad he got nominated. I think that's one of the best performances of the year.
Yeah.
Of the year. That being said, I think he should have won. Right. I'm frustrated that. Who won?
Rami Malek from Queen, which I told you was going to happen, bro.
And I like him. He's really good. And again, it's hard to say because it's like
looking at that list,
Rhapsody, but
I agree with you. I would have said, even though I didn't see A Star Is Born, but from everything I'm seeing, Bradley Cooper is still got, because Bohemian Rhapsody came and went. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Besides his performance, there's nothing else about that film that's transcending.
Sure.
A Star Is Born is still being talked about, the music, the writing, everything. So I agree that Bradley Cooper should have won. Other than that, the only other person on that list would have been Christian Bale, and he won. And he won because the Golden Globe separates drama and comedy, and he won for comedy in the Golden Globes. So that's why I knew he wasn't going to win this one. So I'll be honest. I mean, Rami Malek is what made Queen, and I told you that when I did my list of best film.
I'm not
so
surprised.
That's why I knew that was going to get that, because if you look at it, it only won another award, which was a technical award, and that was it. But anyway, go on. Yeah.
But there's also people like Ethan Hawke that didn't get nominated.
Yeah. And I saw First Reform.
Oh, you did.
I did, and I really liked it a lot. I did. The story was amazing. Again, like you said, it made me start to think about what I think about the world and things like that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting movie.
The issues are really good, and Ethan Hawke is amazing.
He's amazing.
He's amazing in that movie. I even love the man Cypher, but that's because she's cute.
And it's like, so again, I don't know why he wasn't nominated. It's so
I
frustrating.
agree with you.
And I don't know why that movie wasn't nominated for Best Picture, because I think it's better than
the
most of these
screenplay
nominations.
The screenplay was the only thing I think got nominated.
So they were like, we'll give you screenplay, but you're not getting that, whatever.
He didn't win.
The Oscars are dumb inherently. I mean,
I agree with you.
As the years go on, I care less about them. But what's frustrating is they do matter, because movies like Green Book are still in theaters right now because it got nominated for Best Picture, right? Yeah. Whereas I would love to see First Reformed on the big screen, and I haven't. And because it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, even though I think it deserved, and that my opinion is whatever, but still, I don't get to see that on the big screen, even though, I think it's way more deserving than Green Book. And it's like, so it's frustrating because it's like the Oscars do matter financially to the companies that are producing these movies, but they also matter to the people that make them. They matter to the people that love movies.
Understood.
So again, the Oscars are important, even though they're really stupid. And I feel like
it's a sham, bro.
I feel like the people that are voting on these movies, like I don't understand how Green Book, unless you just saw no other movies this year. I don't know how you were like, that's the best picture of the year. I don't, so I get it now. All the people that were frustrated with it, I just, and so, anyway.
And the funny thing is here, because 3 weeks ago when we were going to first do this list, I was harping on Black Panther. I was going to say Black Panther was a thrown in for whatever reason. But Black Panther's better than freaking Green Book. I mean, Black Panther's a better movie than that.
Now, is it better than, so if you're talking about that to some degree, because it's it was a huge hit, right? Yeah. So I'm not surprised it got nominated.
Yeah, money.
And it's not a bad movie, so I don't dislike that it was nominated. But you know, it does a little bit feel like a not a pity, that's a bad word, but like kind of a, I mean, it was a hit.
This was like, listen, you guys had the biggest money making film. Here we're giving you this nom, this like little nom. You're not gonna win, but here's your we recognize you for what you guys did. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And
it's not deserving of that. So it's
correct. And if any of these other movies beat it, it still would have been on my list. Like, oh, that was a pity thing. But the fact that Green Book won, I'm like, Black Panther's a better movie than Green Book, and that didn't deserve to freaking win. So, you know, like you said, Black Klansman, Star is Born, The Favorite, even Roma. I mean, these movies that I thought it was going to be either A Star is Born or Roma.
Well, but when Roma won
foreign film, so that's why you crossed that out. So I actually thought it was going to be Star is Born. Or The Favorite, which I knew was going to. They gave it Best Actress, and I knew that was going to happen too. So this is what it's like. Every film.
I like that though. And so there's more good. Yeah. Let's keep going with the good though, right? Okay. So, and this is just nomination wise.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's good in Vice. Glad that he got the nomination. Yeah. Ethan Hawke should have been, but whatever.
Agreed.
Lady Gaga, very good. Olivia Colman, I love that.
Yes.
She was my favorite, and I'm glad, literally for the favorite, and I'm glad she won. Sam Elliott, I liked that nomination.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's really good in A Star Is Born, even though he's in a smaller role, which is why he probably didn't win. I mean, I think Mahershala Ali should have been in a leading actor category, and so him winning for supporting, like I'm okay with that because I mean he is good in the film. I don't think his character is very as interesting as it could be. Like I think that the movie just, like I said, lacks no subtlety, and so his character is not as interesting. But he's good in it, and I think he's deserving, especially because, you know, I mean, the dude's great. So I'm glad about that. But at the same time, I'm also glad that Sam Elliott got nominated. Amy Adams is really good in Vice. I'm glad she got nominated. Regina King is fantastic. Beale Street Could Talk, and she deserved that for sure. Even though I think Rachel Weisz.
And we talked about this.
Probably my favorite.
I mean, it's only been, I think, twice in all 91 years of where they didn't cancel each other out. Because every time they do like a film that has two good supporting actors, they cancel each other out and nobody wins.
Yep.
And that's why I knew that was going to happen. I think it's only happened twice where somebody won when they nominated
but they gave it to Olivia Colman.
Yeah, so and there you go. There goes
at least one of them won, right?
Correct.
And ultimately, and Emma Stone was really happy about that, which is kind of a sweet moment.
Maybe the second time.
And I haven't seen The Wife, so a lot of people were.
I did. I told you, and she was really, really. And I told you she was great in it. But like I said, her performance was the only thing about that film, and I knew that the nomination would be suffice. I actually thought Lady Gaga was going to win because of all the popularity.
I think she's really good.
But I'm glad. I agree with you. I'm glad that Olivia Colman won. You know, The Favorite. If it wasn't going to win Best Picture, which I knew it wasn't going to win, at least they gave them that award, and that's a big award. And I'm glad she won. She's really good. She's a good actress in The Crown. She's good. So you know. Oh, sorry. But yeah. So go on. What's the next thing?
And then Emma Stone, obviously. Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. I'm happy that it got nominated. I'm happy that it won.
I mean, looking at that list, like Isle of Dogs would have been.
Yep, that's the next one on my list.
But I knew that wasn't going to win. And Incredibles 2, which everyone thought was going to win, I think Ralph Breaks the Internet kind of canceled it out. Because even though Ralph Breaks was horrible, let me say, because I did like it, but compared to Incredibles 2 was better. But I think the fact that Spider-Man and Spider-Verse got the win was also to say, well, again, it's Sony, it's not Disney. But it's a better film. You said you saw it, right? And you loved it, right?
Which one?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Fourth on my list.
When I saw it, I was like, this is a friggin' excellent film.
It's really good.
So I agree. I actually liked Spider-Man.
I think that could have been nominated for Best Picture, and I would have been okay with it.
Look at that. Interesting. Because I loved it. It was like the best Marvel movie outside of Infinity War, and it's not a really Marvel movie per se. So, yeah.
So, all those good things. Moving on, though, Yorgos being nominated for directing.
That was good.
I love Adam. I mean, I don't love Adam McKay, but Adam McKay deserves to be nominated for Vice. Did Paul Schrader get? I have him on my list.
He got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
For Screenplay, okay. And that's totally deserving, even though it didn't win. The Favorite being nominated for Screenplay and Cinematography, I think, are both great.
Yeah.
So, again, there's some good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Let's get to bad. Obviously, we've discussed how bad of a pick Green Book is, and I think I was, when it first won, I wasn't initially frustrated because I hadn't seen it, and I didn't want to judge it until I'd seen it. And now that I've seen it, it's
not deserving.
It's just not deserving of Best Picture. It's hard because it's like, again, I don't think it's not a poorly made film. It's a well acted. Again, it's hard to even Alita, which I think is a frustrating movie, is at least made with some care. You know, so it's hard to shit on stuff that was at least well intended. But it's not good.
Yeah.
If Beale Street Could Talk would be absolutely a better pick in every way.
To be nominated,
to win, even.
I
think that movie's great. Same thing with the First Reform. Same thing with Widows. What the fuck? Why wasn't Widows nominated for anything? It's so frustrating.
Because we discussed it. It's they want Steve McQueen to make films like 12 Years a Slave, and when he makes a drama / heist film. I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to bother with that. And I think, because I told you about it, like, even when you reviewed it, it did. But again, critics, nobody saw the film. So, I mean, you know, so that was it. Yeah, I knew it was going to get nominated. But
that's bullshit. That I think, I mean, if anything, obviously, if you've listened to the podcast where we did our top 10s, Hereditary is my favorite film of last year. Great film. And I would have loved to have seen that. But I had no expectation that would get nominated. So, you know, ultimately,
I mean, movies where kids get killed in the film, they're not going to give that shit. Yeah. So.
And so ultimately, and, you know, imagine an award ceremony where they show a clip from Hereditary. You know, so ultimately, I as much as I think that's not only the best film of last year, but my favorite, I understand why that wasn't nominated. But Widows and If Beale Street Could Talk and First Reformed and all these movies, like or Eighth Grade is so good too.
Yeah, but surprised it got shut out too. That was
Burning. I mean, Burning. I'm not surprised because nobody saw that. But you know, Bad Times at El Royale, I love. You know, like Blind Spotting is so spectacular. Even
I thought that would get like a screenplay of some sort. But
I don't. Whatever. I mean, again, it's like there's just these are so frustrating because again, when a movie like Green Book wins, you start looking at everything else and going like, what that is almost objectively better than Green Book.
Yeah.
In every way, in every like technical category and whatever. I mean, ultimately the people that vote for the Oscars just they never get it right. So
you know, that was one of the big things they were saying, you know, and again, not to bring up, you know, racially or politically charged, you know, how it's I think now it's still 78% white male, and there's not many females, there's not many people of color, and
all old.
If anyone's under the age of 50, it's American. So yeah, they're trying to work on that, and they said that was a big thing they were saying. They were saying that they definitely have sent out,
said that
applications for you to join.
And 2 years ago,
they say that every year. And that's my point.
And then it's like it never changes. So like
even First Man got a visual effect,
and that's a better movie than
Green Book.
Avengers.
I bet it is.
I mean, you know, that didn't make my top 10, but you know, that's a really well made movie technically, and everybody's good in it. I mean. They're just. I mean, it. I don't know. So anyway, that's just Best Picture though.
Yeah.
But then we've got like Toni Collette not being nominated for Best Actress.
Best Actress,
like, what the fuck is that? Like I don't understand that, man. Except for the fact that just nobody that votes for the Oscars saw Hereditary, I guess.
No, I think, and we went back and forth about this. I think the bottom line is that Hereditary is a horror film, regardless of what we say, and no horror film has ever been nominated for any type of thing. And that's the bottom line. I mean, you know, that movie was amazing. I agree with you. It's in the top. I would almost say I would say it's number one. I agree with you there. I mean, it's a movie that was original and shocking and amazingly acted, amazingly directed. What are you gonna do?
Yep. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Forget about it.
But and then then I have like Adam Driver, who I think is good in Black Klansman. Spike Lee made this whole fiasco about that not winning.
Yeah.
And I know that people bring up, but Do the Right Thing lost to Driving Miss Daisy. Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a travesty.
It is. Do the Right Thing is one of
the greatest films of all time.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that movie's amazing. I watched that at your house for the first time at your movie fest. And that movie is just perfect. Almost. I mean, it's great. So again, I get that, but Black Klansman is really good, and I like it a lot. It was on my honorable mentions. I think it's really good. I don't think it should, like, him throwing a fit about it though. It's just like come on, man. Like,
but did you expect any different?
I mean,
I didn't. Well, as I watched, and he when they talked about Green Book winning,
of the movies there, like I think it's better than Green Book for sure.
Yeah,
and I would have taken Black Klansman over Green Book, but I mean, from what I've heard, Roma's really good too. And then you've got, I don't know. I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody either.
But
The Star Is Born is better than Black Klansman.
But you summed it up. He was nominated, which again, I don't want to call it the curse of Citizen Kane. His it wasn't his first film, but his first big film was nominated, and the film of color that won was a whitewash film, of Driving Miss Daisy.
And then it happened again.
And the whole thing that, Morgan Freeman, is the black chauffeur. And it's like a real film, like Do the Right Thing, lost against this Hollywood junk. And then cut to now where you're saying the same thing. Green Book is almost like a caricature. And Black Klansman is another real film, within the black struggle, within the civil rights, and it lost again. So was he? I understand why he was angry. And again,
I understand when you're talking about what won, what should have won, and but it's not a. If you get nominated for a movie and your films are real, everything, and then again another movie, and you're right. Why didn't Alfonso Cuarón or everyone else complain? But that's Spike Lee. He's from New York. He lives in Brooklyn. That's what he's gonna do. And we watched him. Me and Brother watching the other day, and I was laughing because I was like. He was like, they showed him, and he's like, let me get sick. And then when they finished, and it was like, next question. Like, he didn't answer the question. But that's I expected from him. And again, this is what we're talking about. Even if we're not saying, he's being, egotistical. Oh, my movie should have won Best Picture. He probably was thinking that. But the point is that we're agreeing with him that Green Book should have fucking won Best Picture at least, for sure.
And so that's the bottom line. I agree with him in the aspect that he should be angry that that won.
I don't even know, even though I really like Black Klansman, I'll need to see it a few more times.
But I'm not saying that deserves it.
That should have even been nominated.
Well, you loved it. It was on your list, bro.
This is my honorable mentions, though.
Well, okay.
I mean, so again, if we're talking, even if we're just talking about black film that I think is better, Blind Spotting. If Beale Street could talk.
If Beale Street could talk, you said that, So anybody who wants to say racist shit, he's not being racist. He's being honest, and I agree.
But
somebody accused you of that almost. But I'm saying I agree with you. Blind Spotting is one of the, and I haven't seen it, but it's one of the movies I want to see so bad. And if Beale Street could talk, I definitely want to see it. Did I want to see Green Book? Like I said, I was like, when it comes on Hulu, I'll watch it just to give it to see what it was about. But obviously, after what you said, it was exactly what I thought. I'm not Italian. I came from Brooklyn where my friend Tony, may rest in peace, he never saw The Godfather. And why? Because he felt that it was derogatory to Italian Americans. And it's funny because he's never saw The Godfather. He never watched The Sopranos. Great things that he's never seen. But again, it's like Tony Lip would have been one of the things that he hated.
Oh, man.
His son was when if you all remember, just to go a tangent, what's that show called? Jersey Shore, right? Yeah. His son was up to be on the show for the second or third season. They wanted one of the cast members left, and they were going to get him on. And he vehemently refused the opportunity to be famous because of the fact how they portray Italian Americans. And I give him credit.
If he
would have saw it, he would be rolling in his grave right now because Tony, like I said, I understand now. With 20 years later, I understand it because. If there was a movie about Puerto Ricans and they were portrayed, and they have in the past, but they haven't really touched on Puerto Ricans in a long time, if they portray them as buffoons or cartoon characters, I'd be offended. So he was always like, he never watched The Godfather because of some of the portrayals in the film, which were Italian Americans at that time in the 70s, were against The Godfather, one of the greatest films of all time, my top three. But I understand what he's saying. So he would have hated Green Book because of the way Tony Lip is, the character of that Viggo Mortensen. And and I think that's what Spike Lee is saying. I mean, were any, the whites probably, but were anybody else cartoon characters in Black Klansman?
Well, no, ultimately, I think I would say no.
No,
for sure.
And that's my point. So if he's saying, granted, and I know Spike Lee, you're right, he's saying, my movie should have won over everything. I think I take it as he's upset because his movie's real. And this cartoon character type film is what won. Again, 30 years later after he got nominated to the day, because it was the 1990 awards, but his film was in 89. In 2019, he lost again to a cartoon character film where his film should have won over that at least.
For sure.
Not to saying that the other films were better than it, and they were, like you said. But I'm just saying, I understand it. I would be so angry too that 30 years later, I'm in the seat again. I got a chance because we all know Green Book ain't going to win, and Green Book fucking wins.
Black Klansman still has one of my favorite lines of this whole year, though, which is, with the right white man, we can do anything. Which is just
Donald Trump.
That movie is so... It is really funny though.
Yeah.
I need to see it. I need
And
definitely.
if I have it in my Amazon Prime queue, and something
So
happens.
to end on a positive note,
Yeah.
the movie's Black Klansman's really good. So you know,
Positive. 2 hours later that we started this podcast.
even though I don't even know that it should have been nominated over other films that we just described,
okay.
it's it's still really good. So I get his frustration.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'm gonna watch Black Klansman tonight now just to see what.
Have you seen it yet?
No, it's in my queue, and like I said, it was a glitch, and it threw us out of our Amazon Prime, and she has the code to get back in so we can watch. But I want to watch it tonight now, most definitely now to see. But Green Book's not on there yet. No, because they're re-releasing all these films. But again, I mean, I think that I side with him in the frustration that we both agree, because you said it for 10 minutes and I'm saying it now for the 5. I don't think Green Book should have won Best Picture.
Yep, it's bad. Also, Elsie Fisher for 8th grade.
Yeah, that would have been cute to nominate her, but yeah, that wasn't going to happen.
Everything else is bad.
Just like last time, we ended on a down note. Jeremy's like kind of oh man, but yeah. So
That's the Oscars
2019 Oscars. Yeah, 2 hours later as we started, we ended with this Oscars.
It's disappointing.
Well,
Whatever.
maybe next year. But so what?
Maybe next year.
You were
That's what
mentioning.
we say every year.
Well, I know we do. So you're mentioning. So far, what is your pick for best pick in March of 2019 in the 3 months that have passed?
Oh, there's nothing has even been close to being nominated. Like I think, let me see.
So what's your favorite film so far this year, then?
My favorite film man, I've got so many poop emoji ratings.
Poop
this year.
emoji. Look at the. Oh shit! You actually have a list with your friggin' $20.
Well,
pass.
I would say maybe the Fire documentary.
That was funny. Yeah, that was this year. Yeah,
my
that was this
favorite.
year.
Oh my god, that's
Which one? The Netflix or the Hulu?
The Netflix.
The Netflix is the best. Yeah.
Yeah, Velvet Buzzsaw is probably the best movie though.
That's what you said. That's right. You said Velvet Buzzsaw is your favorite.
I really like Fire, but I mean it's not like some groundbreaking documentary. I just love the subject. This has been a weak year, man. But whatever. Hopefully,
maybe this is
hopefully Claire Denis can come out and pull out a masterpiece with what's that movie called? Her new film with Robert Pattinson.
Oh,
it's from A24.
Yeah,
Set in space.
Set in space. That's right.
It looks fucking great.
And this movie is what's getting him that friggin' Batman role. If this movie's a hit, he's gonna be Batman, which is horrible. Oh my god! Now you got me ending on a down note.
Well, so I mean, I guess maybe that ultimately, I guess we could, that closes the book on 2018. I mean, ultimately, we've talked about everything that can be talked about in 2018 as far as film goes. I mean, so ultimately, what do you have a movie that you're super excited about this year? I mean,
this year? Oh man, shit, there are a bunch of movies coming out. I mean, yes,
Avengers.
I'm being an idiot. Yes, next week I'm seeing Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Hellboy, like all the nerdy movies that so far. Like I've read blurbs about the drama films, but they're not going to come out until like October, November.
Yeah, we've got some time.
But yeah, I got Captain Marvel. I want to see Hellboy.
Is Martin Scorsese's the Irishman.
And that comes out on Netflix in November, I think.
Netflix, interesting.
Yeah, so that's going to be that I do want to see. Of course, Avengers: Infinity War. And then after that, I'm trying to see what these big summer movies. I was watching some, but
Well, there's that Godzilla movie. It looks really stupid.
No, I mean I love Millie Bobby Brown, but I'm never going to see Godzilla. But yeah, see, it's mostly
that looks like a movie where like the people have nothing to do but like worry about Godzilla, and it's like it's just so weird because it's like in a movie about Godzilla, like what do people have to even do about Godzilla? Like I just don't understand.
Well, he's on our side. He's going to fight Ghidorah.
Yeah, whatever.
All those other
in the rain where we can barely see him.
Bobby Brown. A Stranger. Well, it's TV. It's not movie. But Stranger Things season 3 is one of my big things I want to see this year too. So.
There's most of the trailers I think I've seen recently though stink.
Of Stranger Things?
No, just of movies.
Movies. Yeah, but like I said, but they're only showing these big budget summer blockbuster movies. That's the only trailers I've been really focusing on. Where can I see trailers?
Is it High Life? Is that the name of that movie? High Life, Claire Denis movie?
Yeah.
There's also Climax from what's it called? What's his name? He did Gaspar Noé, who did Irreversible and. Climax looks interesting.
High Life is that's the one with Julia.
Greta looks fucking stupid.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, there is Fighting with My Family, which I do need to see though. That looks good.
You want to see that? Really?
It's got 92%. It's directed by Stephen.
Andre Benjamin's in High Life. Let's see. Climax.
Is that it? Right?
Yeah.
High Life.
High Life is the movie, and Climax is French dancers gathered remote into in the all-night civil war into a literal nightmare. Yeah, that sounds good. I gotta see the trailer for that.
But I forgot about Fighting with My Family. That looks interesting.
Really?
It's got good reviews.
Not with the reviews. It's what it's about, dude. There's a lot of
movies. It looks not great. Well, it may be good. I don't know. It's A24. It's a Julianne Moore. It's Gloria Bell.
Oh, yeah.
That trailer was so cheesy.
I'm
looking through like the Rotten Tomatoes, like up and coming movie. Oh, Us. Us looks fantastic.
Us. Oh, yeah. See? But again, that's in the genre film, Us.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be a Best Picture winner, but I mean, that would definitely be on my...
It's funny because you say Gloria Bell, and Gloria Bell came out last year. I guess they're releasing it this year.
And my friends laughed at the Pet Sematary trailer, but it looks interesting.
I love it, Pet Sematary looks really good. But again, these are genre films. They're not, Academy Award.
At this point, we're just talking about movies I'm excited for. Yeah, High Life is probably my most anticipated because I love Claire Denis and I love Robert Pattinson. I'm a huge fan of both of them.
Oh, because you saw, what was that movie? Not High Times. Yeah, was it High Times? No. The movie where he's in New York and his brother...
Oh, Cosmopolis?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Robert Pattinson. The movie he just
did.
Rover? No, we did. We enjoyed Rover.
Good Times.
Good Times, which you liked, yeah.
Good Times is great. Yeah, no, Robert Pattinson's just I just listed off like 4 where he's really great, and so, but yeah, he's a great actor. But anyway, Shazam looks fun. I don't know.
Oh my God, that's gonna be horrible. But
is it?
That's gonna be horrible, brother. I know it. I feel it in my gut that Shazam's gonna be the biggest flop in the history of all flops. That's just my opinion. Hold on, Fandango has the upcoming movies.
Yeah, there's not much else though.
Yeah, let me go here to Fandango right before because What do
you think about the new Pikachu movie?
Oh God, stop it! my boy Blue says, "Oh, you're gonna take Emma to see that movie?" And I really don't. So let's see. Yeah, Greta looks horrible.
Greta looks so horrible.
What else?
It's directed by a pretty good
filmmaker. Oh, but that's not. Then no, coming soon. Where's all these coming soon movies? Okay. No, these are coming soon.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, here we go. I got it. So Toy Story 4, yeah. Avatar, no. Fast Food, no. Dark Phoenix, Star Wars Episode 9, yes.
Oh yeah.
Dumbo, I want to see. Yeah, Dumbo, we're gonna go see. Lion King, I want to see.
Episode 9 comes out this year.
Yeah, it comes out on Christmas. The New Mutants, I want to see, but that's gonna be horrible. Shazam's gonna be horrible. Pokemon's gonna be horrible. Wonder Woman 84 is gonna move to
downer podcast.
Secret Life Part 2, I'd want to see because they got this guy's voice, Louis, man. CK Louis is gone, bro. I feel bad. Hellboy, I want to see. John Wick. Us, yes.
Oh, John Wick 3. Yeah.
Pet Sematary, yes.
But these are all movies that I'm just like the only ones that I'm like I think are gonna be really good
Frozen
is
2.
Us and High Life.
Yeah, Us
and maybe Avengers.
Aladdin's gonna be Avengers gonna be Aladdin's gonna be flop. Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey, the movie's coming out.
I still haven't finished that series.
The Hustle I want to see, but again, that's just all. These are all genre films. I'm looking. Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's going to be my movie for this year.
No, that's Tarantino.
The Sharon, the
I'm staying away from as many trailers for that as
possible. It Chapter 2 comes out this year again. I want to see that.
Yeah.
And then, look at all these re-releases. Alien 40th Anniversary, Steel Magnolias, Shawshank Redemption.
No, they're just re-releasing this
stuff? Yeah, they're
re-releasing.
Like Ben-Hur's being re-released.
I don't care for it. So
all these movies, that's it. Those are the only movies this year that are coming in. And then all these are re-releases. Well, we'll have to wait till October when they start releasing the dramas, the ones that.
I mean, it could turn out to be a good year. I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before. I mean, I feel like last year though we had like I know you didn't love Annihilation, which I don't want to get into right now. But
we were supposed to, but he doesn't want to fight with me. We gotta end this thing.
Well, I know you're wrong about it. I know that.
What you know is that I'm correct.
No, we'll get to that.
You're gonna fight now. Don't fight. We gotta go, bro.
I need to make a note about.
Make a note that next time we meet, we'll fight about Annihilation.
But yeah. Anyway, I mean, I think we had a few pretty decent films last year going into like the summer, and this year
Netflix has at least 100 movies coming out this year that they bought from other studios. So
and people are complaining that they are going to charge us $2 more a month. And I'm just like, they're
paying billions of dollars for these stupid movies.
Are you kidding me? Like, they're producing so much.
No offense to my sister Charlene, she pays for the Netflix. I pay for the Hulu. We share it on each other. So if it goes up $2, she cuts it off. Whatever. But it's ridiculous that they keep going up on Netflix. But Hulu's
but I mean, it's like. like I feel like they're providing a value.
They are. And Netflix is now coming out the box with these.
Well, like
movies.
I saw the series. What's it freaking called? Russian Doll is really good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's a great show. Like, I mean, that's like, I mean, if you're
Glow
talking
is a
about,
great show.
yeah, I mean, they have like almost as much content coming out. I mean, they have probably more than like an HBO or
because they're buying them. They're putting all this money. That's why they're raising our rates, because they're buying these movies from all these studios. Yeah. And then they're like, oh shit, we just spent $50 million on Bright, and it was a flop. Even though they still say they're going to do a sequel, but I don't think that'll happen. And I like Bright. I love it. I liked it because I'm into that genre junk. Will Smith was okay in it, but anyway. But all right. Let's end this. We got over 2 hours now.
Yep, it's been long. All right, well, that is Indecisive Cinema episode
23.
23.
2 hour special, bro.
Oscars, all that stuff.
So the next time we meet in 2 weeks, we'll discuss Annihilation for probably 7 hours, and then whatever else Jeremy sees in that time.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, well, you guys, you have a great time. Well, you have a great weekend, and we'll all catch you on the next one. You take care.